to have a one-on-one conversation with the official leader broadcast in as far as news is concerned. I'm Regina Manyara. I hand you over to Ram. Good morning.
Good morning, Regina, and good morning, Kenya. Good morning, world. Wherever you're watching us from, it's a pleasure having you on board today on this fine Tuesday morning. And as Regina said, it is the 4th of April 2023. We are coming to you live from the broadcasting house here in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for choosing KBC Channel 1, and we have a lot in store for you in this morning show right here on Good Morning Kenya. On my end, I shall be talking about investments and savings in real estate. Now the question is, how much do you need to save and invest in real estate? Can anybody be too young or too old to do so? Let's have that conversation in a bit. I shall be with Dr. George Paul Chege, who is the CEO of the Trinity Group of Companies, somebody who has a lot of stake in regards to matters concerning real estate and the experience he has in this particular sector. Be sure to tune in to that particular conversation coming up in a bit. My name is Ram Aguko.
Bipartisan approach, that is what was said by the president 2 days ago as far as dealing with some of these issues that oppositions did raise, including the IEBC selection panel. But that puts to question what happens to the Nelson Makanda-led team, which had actually begun that process through that notice that they did send to the public for those interested to apply for these 7 key positions, with actually 900 persons applying and 90 applying for that position of the IEBC chairperson. This also coming at a time when yesterday the president did say that he actually did meet all leaders from the majority side from both houses, the Senate and National Assembly, urging them to prioritize this bipartisan approach. So we wait to see how all this will unfold, given the fact that the same opposition had said 1 week is the time frame they are giving the government. If at all these issues are not dealt with, listened to, then they might just be going back to the streets. But wait to see what exactly this bipartisan approach is and whether or not it will quell the ongoing demonstrations, whether it will quell these issues that have been raised over time. Still remains a matter of wait and see. Nonetheless, beautiful morning to have you on board this fine Tuesday morning. Plenty in store for you, so stay put till 10 a.m. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okello. Good morning.
And on that note, we'll be discussing much on that, and my guest will be Robert Basil, who is Yatta Member of Parliament, and Orogo Daniel, who is a political analyst. We just want to make sense on what we should expect moving forward now that there is some calm after the storm. That will be coming later on People and Politics. My name is Victor Lo. Good morning. Regina.
Well, indeed, the question is, when you have that particular conversation, Victor, where does this bipartisan conversation, between the President, William Ruto, and the official leader of opposition, Raila Odinga, leave Kenyans? If we looked at what was happening during these demos, we had Kenyans, going out, carrying sufurias, empty plates, as well as wheelbarrows. But we've not had a conversation, or rather, are we going to have a candid conversation in regard to also, the ideas that the opposition has to bring down the cost of living?
During Moi's time, someone called it MOU. In Kibaki's time, someone called it Nusum Kate. In Uhuru's time, someone called it handshake. And now we're calling it bipartisan approach. Is it just the same approach with different names? And good question you put, where does this leave Kenyans? Because all you're hearing is the IEBC panel, selection panel, which way forward in terms of our electoral justice and electoral reforms. But what about you and I with the high cost of living that we have kept talking about oftentimes? Good questions being put forth.
We'll be watching that keenly, because that's the reason I think a majority of Kenyans took to the streets.
Well said.
The cost of unga, the cost of living. When you go to hospital, you're paying for consultation, but there's no medicine in these particular hospitals. School is back on. You cannot fully pay your school. There is a lot that the Kenyan is dealing with, and we hope that this is also prioritized. Now let us focus on those stories that have been making headlines, and we start off with not so good news, where Sacred Heart Mukumu Girls High School in Hayega, Kakamega County will remain closed indefinitely after students died of suspected food poisoning. Here's an update by Kamche Menza.
Monday morning at the Sacred Heart Mukumu Girls in Kakamega County. Parents picking their children who showed symptoms of food poisoning. They are among more than 500 out of the 2,000 students at the school infected with the bacteria after consuming contaminated food. Kakamega Governor Fernandes Baraza, who together with education and health officials visited the institution, confirmed that 2 students have died.
Our condolences to the families and friends of those 2 girls that we lost on Friday and yesterday morning, and we are going to do everything possible at least to take preventive action.
Reports from Kakamega Referral Hospital, where most of the students were hospitalized, showed the students presented with diarrhea, vomiting and dizziness. 1 student is in intensive care unit.
Na tunaomba county government, tuko hapa na chief officer, wazazi hawana pesa mingi. Tunaomba ya kwamba wa extend an olive hand hapo kwa hospitali ya Kakamega, wakuwe na ward yenye wazazi hawatalipa.
With the cause of the infection yet to be established a week after the infection cases were first reported, Governor Baraza says samples of water taken to the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, for investigation were declared safe.
We are still waiting for the culture results so that we can establish the root cause, especially getting the medical cause of the situation here. We have also taken food sample tests, and the food handlers have also been taken for certification.
Same time last year, similar cases were reported.
Very regrettable. I am here with the Directorate of Quality Assurance. They investigated the issue last year, made findings, made recommendations, but those findings were not acted upon, and this is why this has recurred.
We've agreed that we are going to suspend learning for some time as we address the key issues that we strongly believe have led us to this.
And we'll be following up to establish exactly what was contained in the recommendations that were made last time before this disaster actually happened in that particular learning institution. Now we delve into matters politics, where the Director of Public Prosecution, Udin Haji, dropped charges against Azimio la Umoja Kenya leaders, which included unlawful demonstration and malicious damage of property. Through a prosecution counsel, the DPP informed the court that the withdrawal of the cases would facilitate dialogue between the government and the opposition.
Azimio MPs including Ugunja MP Opio Wandai, Kilifi Senator Stewart Madzayo, Kilifi South MP Richard Chonga and Malindi MP Amina Mnyazi were discharged by Kahawa Law Court Senior Principal Magistrate Boaz Ombewa after the Director of Public Prosecution dropped their charges. The move, the DPP's office explains, was made to allow dialogue between the government and the opposition, as stated by President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga on Sunday. George Yogo Obure and Esther Oromi, who were co-accused alongside the MPs, were also discharged. The 6 had been accused of taking part in unlawful assembly together with others not before the court. Through their lawyer Danstan Omari, they thanked the state and the judiciary for withdrawing the case.
For the sake of justice, hivi kwamba sababu hakukuwa haki hawakushtakiwa, sasa haki wameachiliwa. For the sake of peace, ili kuleta uwiano na amani katika taifa la Kenya, lazima viongozi hawa wangeachiliwa ndio amani iweze kuendelewa.
However, similar cases facing 200 protesters in Kibera, Kiambu and Makadara courts are still on.
And that last beat there by Wachira, they're pointing at the fact that 200 people are still facing charges, civilians that is, Wanjiko that is still facing, a case in regard to participating in an lawful demonstration. We'll be keeping tabs at that. situation. Now, at the same time, Kenyans have welcomed the move by President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga to dialogue through a bipartisan engagement in resolving what they say is a tense political stalemate. Here's a roundup of a spot check conducted by KBC Channel 1.
In view of the foregoing, we stand down our demonstrations for Monday.
On Sunday, Raila called off demonstrations that were scheduled for Monday, April the 3rd, to allow engagement with the state on the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. The move follows President William Ruto's proposal for consideration of a bipartisan parliamentary engagement to address Raila's concerns regarding the recruitment of new IEBC commissioners. This has led to positive reactions from a majority of Kenyans.
Sasa unaona kukiwa na mazungumzo kati ya watu wawili kutakuwa sawa.
Kuna wale watu walikuwa wamefunjika huko miguu, mkono, wengine wakapoteza maisha. Ameona hayo maneno yote ni machafu. Ameamua tujenge Kenya, tupeleke Kenya mbele.
In Meru County, Azimio One Kenya Alliance supporters and leaders appreciated the move, commending the president for promising to listen to Azimio One Kenya's grievances.
Raila, sisi baba, ukienda pale ongea kuhusu wa Meru, ongea kuhusu wa Kenya wote.
Elsewhere, the business community in Nakuru County have also lauded the development, saying it will boost trade.
At least now we will move forward. Tutaweza kufanya biashara zetu vizuri, biashara zitaenda poa.
At the same time, the United States government, through its ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, released a statement following the truce. In the statement made on the social media platform Twitter, Meg Whitman stated that the truce the two leaders announced in two separate statements and the subsequent dialogue would benefit Kenyans greatly. President Ruto had earlier set the stage for the ceasefire in a televised address to the nation, regretting that the 2 weeks of protests had caused the deaths of 3 people, with several others injured, and ruined the economy.
A welcome relief. President William Ruto has appealed to the African continent to undertake concerted efforts to win the war on climate change. The head of state, who launched a 3rd regional symposium in greening judiciaries in Africa, emphasized the need for fair international development financing in terms of accessibility, affordability, and adequacy to help the continent deal with the climate change burden.
The 3-day 3rd Greening Judiciary Symposium, themed strengthening the role of the judiciary in addressing climate change, has kicked off in earnest in the capital, Nairobi. President William Ruto noted institutional reconfigurations and economic resets emanating from this change will install Africa as the world's green economic superpower.
We are not saying we want an international financial system that is favorable to Africa. No. We want an international financial system that is fair to everybody. Having a fair international financial system is not asking for too much.
The head of state further challenged the judiciary to develop a polluter pays principle in compliance with the United Nations General Assembly resolution that calls for the world's biggest emitters to take responsibility of their actions.
The first reason is the fact that Africa is by far the least polluting continent, yet it is by far the most adversely affected by climate change. The brunt of these adverse effects and impacts has been borne by vulnerable African population.
President Ruto's sentiments were echoed by Kenya's Chief Justice Martha Koome, the chairperson Africa Judicial Education Network on Environmental Law, and the Assistant Secretary General UNEP Elizabeth Mrema.
Within this context, that our courts must play a decisive role in driving the adaptation, mitigation, and resilience-building efforts required to combat climate change.
Judges must be adequately capacitated to adjudicate complex climate change disputes.
As the world regrettably crosses the 1.5 degrees centigrade limit of global warming, Africa could be approaching catastrophic levels of up to 3 degrees centigrade rise in temperatures.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, vowed to ensure legislation on matters climate will be given top priority.
Any legislative proposals that comes to Parliament on many matters, but particularly on environment, will be given top priority.
Kenya is committed towards planting 15 billion trees to achieve 30% forest cover by 2032.
After the third symposium in Nairobi, all of us in the judiciary in Africa will be expected to think green, to think climate change.
The regional symposia on greening judiciaries in Africa are organized by the Africa Judicial Education Network on Environmental Law.
Previously, the Continental Symposium was held in Johannesburg, South Africa, and Maputo, Mozambique.
Now, further afield, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta says the M23 rebel group has agreed to withdraw from more regions in North Kivu to allow for constructive dialogue towards peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo. M23, which has already withdrawn from Sake Mishaki, Nenero and Kilorwe, will leave Kitichanga today.
Uhuru Kenyatta says the military track of operations towards peace and stability in eastern DRC remains on course as envisaged by the East African Community Regional Force Mandate, with a ceasefire still holding between FARDC, M23 and other active armed groups for the last 3 weeks. Kenyatta says the withdrawal of M23 from Kitichanga on Tuesday will press forward to the march toward lasting peace in the region. Kenya, Burundi and Uganda, whose troops are on the ground, are coordinating operations to allow the free movement of goods and people and the delivery of humanitarian assistance to parts of the country affected by the conflict. Kenyatta says more of the armed groups are now complying with the terms of the Nairobi process and are more likely to be all integrated into the political track of the process in the future.
Well, that's a welcome relief because our brothers and sisters will be back at home after a while. On that note, we take a quick breather. When we're back, we're going to be telling you why you need to be participating in the Connect Summit that is currently underway in Diani, Kwale. Do not go.
It is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns to the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person you cannot give the ball to, it's the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45 p.m.
Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning.
Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
So from then on I felt I wasn't the Jenny Lee that you remembered any longer. I didn't dare tell you the truth because I thought I wasn't good enough for you. I thought I wasn't good enough, so I asked Charlene to replace me.
Where's Jenny? Are you feeling upset after confessing? To Harvey?
You were a silly, clumsy young girl. But over time, you drew me in. And I couldn't help but be near you. Regardless of looks, your position, or any other factors.
I screwed up. Let me get drunk. I was dumped! Ruthlessly dumped by Harvey!
You're seeing your potential. Unafanya kazi nzuri sana.
Na tukilinganisha na zile recommendations ambazo tulipewa na Inspector Torome, we believe this is the right pitch for you.
Hey! Unataka nini wewe? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini kama utaki?
Governor, there are rumors that you have another family.
Rumors that I have another family. Well, this is my family and I think it's one.
What do you think?
You are still watching KBC Channel 1. Now we focus on more matters. This is regarding to what is happening in as far as the business world is concerned and economics. The shilling is trading at 132 shillings to the dollar as it continues to weaken against a strengthening greenback. Now on matters ICT, the government has started talks with the National Assembly to review the digital services tax and the local ownership policy. ICT companies have been decrying the law that came into force in 2021, saying it is stifling the growth of the sector. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has urged the National Assembly to fast-track the review of the Finance Act 2021 to unlock investments in the sector. Here is Carol Njenga with the details.
Last week, President William Ruto told investors that after 3 years of existence, the government is set to abolish the 15% minimum tax rate imposed on global ICT firms. The president told the American Chamber of Commerce meeting that the act has made Kenya uncompetitive, leading to low investment in the sector. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has said the process to review the act has started with the National Treasury, the Kenya Revenue Authority and players in the ICT sector to repeal the law by the 1st of July 2023.
To encourage investors, let us make the environment better, and then when they are here, now they can either eventually, through the stock exchange and others, allow Kenyans to also be part of the business. But we should not, ab initio, at the very beginning, be obstacles in encouraging investment into the country.
Laws that are being proposed shall come to the floor of the House. They shall then go through a very rigorous process of public participation. But the idea here is to make sure that the laws are expedited and that Parliament does not become an unnecessary hurdle.
Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo, has said the ministry is working with the county governments to review the wage levy charged by the devolved government on companies laying broadband infrastructure in their localities.
We are looking at systems which are self-financing, so that as you consume the services as a member of the public, based on what you pay, a proportion of it is plowed back into the system, and that is what we use for additional digitalization and digitization processes. So it's not going to be an extra drain on the exchequer. We are looking at systems which are self-financing.
Whether it's county governments, your revenue raising mechanism is not by blocking the laying of a fiber cable. That is again misplaced.
We have said we are supporting this 100%, and I'm lobbying my colleagues to allow anyone laying fiber, if possible, they allow them to waive all the fees that are charged so that we spur that very fast.
Broadcasting and Telecommunication Principal Secretary Edward Kisiangangi says the government will undertake a holistic review of the broadcasting policies in the country to help in the growth of the sector.
So what opportunities do you find in such a meeting that would likely make you start improving your revenues? And I think the government is willing to help you move to that space.
They were speaking during the ongoing Connected Summit 2023 in Diani, Kwale County. The 4-day meeting brings together more than 1,500 delegates from around the world to discuss emerging issues facing the sector.
The conference enters day 2. It also seeks to discuss issues to do with digitization, use of data for development, as well as elements of data privacy and digital trust. Wairi Mujenga from Diani in Kwale County.
To some more good news is that Kenya is set to launch its first operational observation satellite into space in its bid to provide the country with timely and regular data in fields such as agriculture, food security and general environmental monitoring. Acting Director of the Kenya Space Agency, Brigadier Hilary Kipkoskei, says the mission will put Kenya on the global map for its contribution to the growth of satellite engineering and socio-economic development.
The newest satellite, dubbed Taifa 1, is set to improve the country's monitoring capabilities as well as land use mapping in the fight against natural disasters.
Accurate weather forecasting information, up to 14 days weather forecast, accurate. And that is information that Mama Mboga there in the village in Kisii can go into, click a link and input the county, input the sub-county, include the ward. And that Mama Mboga will be able to see accurate weather information for the next 14 days. I think that is valid. That is where we are going.
Further, we want to spur interest in the country. So far, all the satellite imagery we use in the country is foreign, and it is not cheap as it comes. The ones that are free are not very high resolution.
The Kenya Space Agency is set to launch the first operational 3U Earth observation satellite, Taifa 1 satellite, on April 11th, 2023, and will be aided by Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, SpaceX, in Vandenberg Base, California, aboard Falcon 9 rocket.
The reason why we are using the launch facility in North America is because that is the nearest route to the orbit that we are targeting. Because this is a small satellite, we are not launching it alone. We are launching it on a ride-share program with other users or other customers.
Taifa 1 Sat is a stepping stone to the development of what is planned to be a constellation of small Earth observation satellites for Kenya.
Tasking a satellite and acquiring an imagery at will at the time that we want. And if we see the need, if we appreciate the importance of that or the value of that, then we can invest in more capable systems.
It is also a capacity building effort for Kenya's engineers in space systems engineering, space operations, ground receiver station operations, mission control, and satellite data acquisition and processing, among others. Kenya's development in space systems engineering capabilities began with the design, development, and eventual successful launch of the first Kenya University nano-satellite, Precursor Flight 1 Kunz PF. The satellite was jointly developed by the University of Nairobi and the Sapienza University of Rome, with launch support offered by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency and the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs.
On the global scene, as we come to a close of this particular broadcast, to remind you that our website is still open to your perusal for an update, is that on the global scene is that 4 astronauts have been chosen in the historic moon flyby mission in 2024 by NASA. This includes Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. And this means that if everything goes to plan, is that Artemis 2 will take off around November 2024, and the crew members strapped inside the Orion space shaft will launch atop a NASA-developed space launch system rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We have been missing in action in as far as humankind is concerned on the moon, and after a 50-year hiatus, the first black man and the first woman will be on board Artemis 2. Also, on some good news when it comes to a close is that the baby who, remember the Turkey earthquake, and the baby had survived 56 hours under the rubble over the weekend, was reunited with his mom, was considered dead. Now, this and more stories are still available on our website, and we put this, or rather we bring this to a cap, reminding that the WRC Safari Rally will have 19 special stages making up to 347 kilometers in Nairobi and Naivasha. After the ceremonial start at Nairobi's Uhuru Park on Thursday, June 22nd, the cruise will tackle a 481-kilometer Kasarani special stage before heading to Naivasha for an overnight stay. On Friday, 23rd of June, there will be 2 runs in Lolidia, Geothermal, and Kidong stages. On Saturday, there will be 2 runs of Roysambu, Elementaita, and Sleeping Warrior stages. And on Sunday, the final stages will be in Malewa, Osarian, and Hell's Gate, with a prize-giving ceremony to follow. After this, the Safari Rally will be the 7th round of the 2023 World Rally Championship season. Finishing driver Kale Rovanpela, as well as Johan Helton, won the event last year, driving for Toyota Gazoo Racing. I'll save the date. June is just but around the corner. Over to you, Victor.
Thank you so much, Regina. Look at what we have on the front page of our local dailies. I've got 3 papers today. Let me start with the Star. On the front page of the Star newspaper, Ruto ICC threat force Raila to call off demos. Ruto ICC threat force Raila to call off demos. President refused to meet opposition leaders to discuss power sharing. Now, Western diplomats said Azimio had no grounds for insisting on protests. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. There you have it. Yes, there you have it. On the front page, Ruto ICC threat that forced Raila to call off demos. President refused to meet opposition leaders to discuss power sharing. And it's continuing down there that I'll give you more details shortly. It's fleshed out for you on page 6. And still on the front page there, you have got pictures of parents picking up their students at the Sacred Heart Girls High School, that is Mukumu in Kakamega County, where it's reported that 2 students died after an illness that caused the school now to be closed indefinitely as investigations continue. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. And now down there, it says that positive update on patient whose foot reattached in historic surgery 5 years. How Ruto Raila deal will be realized. Hiring reforms overseen by ad hoc team. Right on the corner there, how Ruto Raila deal will be realized. Hiring reforms overseen by ad hoc team. That is also a statement which was put out there by Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah. All right, on the second page of the Star, man killed father-in-law for not refunding dowry. Man killed father-in-law for not refunding dowry. Matinde killed Marengo in his bedroom on February 10th, 2011. Now, it says that Matinde had just killed Mark Rioba Marego, his father-in-law, in his bedroom in, that is in Kuria West. And it said that because the father-in-law did not refund the dowry. Right? Professor Kolale believed governments only listen to fights, not talks. That is the late Professor Muga Kolale, who told a group who told university staff that they had to continue pressuring the government to listen to them by intensifying strikes. That is according to the late Professor Muga Kolale. Okay, floods displaced 100 families in Bomet as more rain expected. This on page 3 there. At least 700 people homeless after deluge, mud ward houses collapse. And now floods wreak havoc in more than 102 households, leaving 700 people displaced at the weekend in Chepalungu, Bomet County. It was one of the disasters that followed the heavy rains pounding most parts of Bomet since Saturday. Down there, there is a caricature, there is a cartoon. And I think this is a point that I'll bring in my guest, Daniel Rogo. We are also expecting Robert Basil, who is Member of Parliament, Yatta constituency, on the program. But perhaps, Director, just zoom in the caricature there. That is Raila Odinga, right? If you can see it on your screen, that is Raila Odinga. And there is a signboard or a road signage written by partisanship. I almost unleashed the Luo in me. By partisanship, yes. And then now we have got different road signages: cooperation, merger, grand coalition, coalition, handshake. Daniel, what do you make on that? That caricature.
Good morning, Victor.
Good morning.
First, I think is to say it's a pleasure being here.
Welcome.
To appreciate that we are having a good time and finally the rains are here. So I think it's important also to give this into context in what's happening right here.
Yes.
That the road, the main signage seems to be bipartisanship. But of course, behind the other communication, the other worries, the other emerging signages, those that there is cooperation, there is merger, there is grand coalition, there is handshake. What we can internalize in this is probably that besides and behind the bipartisanship agreement, probably a merger can occur. Probably something semblance to grand coalition, which is not. Something semblance to the previous handshake. And maybe a merger or a coalition of these two parties. So I think it's a road that Raila is leading, but there is so many possible road signs, behind his direction, just behind where he's leading. So this is probably the unearthed scenes that are, down in these, talks of bipartisanship.
Yes.
What is it really big in picture, and what is really behind the scenes? The possibilities of other things that are emerging, out of the talk on bipartisanship.
Okay. All right. There you have it. And still to continue on that bit, how Ruto Raila deal will be realized. How Ruto and Raila deal will be realized. Details have now emerged of how President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga hope to hammer out a deal on picking new electoral commission chiefs after their surprise ceasefire. And now the Star has also established that the two sides have agreed to form an ad hoc committee of equal members to spearhead the recruitment reforms. Perhaps this is what was one of the proposals that Azimio had.
Yes.
I mean, the whole essence of having a bipartisanship kind of approach to form the commission.
Yes, which of course you would ask yourself a number of things that might arise from that kind of agreement. One is that, what is the fate of the current selection panel? Because we've had the 7 members of the panel that constitutionally was constituted. The 2 representatives from the Interreligious Council of Kenya, the 2 from the Political Parties Liaison Committee, the Public Service Commission,
yes,
the Law Society of Kenya, all these forming 7 commissioners. And you see, that is the structure, that is what is provided for in the law. But now I think the talks, especially on the bipartisan agreement, is that now there is a reconstitution of that particular panel. And like you've alluded to, the possibilities of coming up with an ad hoc committee, that means that these 7, their terms are in limbo.
Yes.
We don't know whether now they will be given the allowances for full term in agreement and being sent home, or there could be possibilities of being assigned to other, parastatals and ministries and all these, government appointments. So I think the problem with this kind of agreement is that it absolved the provisions of the Constitution, which again, someone would rush into court to quash this kind of, this kind of agreement, because there is no legal basis of the bipartisan committee forming an ad hoc committee. Is not provided for in the law, but rather what is already in the committee and the selection panel was a constitution of the law, because they had to pass through a parliament, they had to pass through, a gazette notice. And even as we speak, this is a committee that last weekend was in Naivasha, collecting the views of the public and of the interested parties on what are the modalities of selecting members of a panel that will strike the resemblance of, representation from all over.
And of course, as you correctly put it, according to the plan, a motion will be tabled in Parliament with proposed names of members to sit on the ad hoc committee, who will then agree on how the hiring is to take place. Now, this raises the question of the previous composition of the committee members. And now, there is this bit of the proposal. The issue of trust, which was being raised by Azimio, that they were not so comfortable with the previous committee. So what is the fate of these members? Are they going to be, maybe one person or 2 are still going to be picked, or the entire committee is going to be scrapped and they are going to have another?
But now you see, the problem is that's what I'm telling you. It's quite important to look at what areas they're representing. Law Society of Kenya, Interreligious Council, the Public Service Commission, the Inter-Party Liaison Committee. Unless the 2 who are from the Inter-Party Liaison Committee, the 2 parties and the 2 big factions can agree. But you see, how would they agree from, how would there be an agreement for example, to select one person from the Law Society of Kenya who represent the views of both parties. Can you understand? How would they agree, to select one from the Interreligious Council of Kenya? That is within the discretion of the Interreligious Council to decide. It's not a bipartisan, issue. So this is a problem that I'm seeing, here, because then the problem is that with the bipartisan, you are not really able. How would you maneuver through? To dispute the constitutional provision of the selection.
And now, based on again what you're saying, to answer you, National Assembly Deputy Majority Leader Owen Baya said yesterday that the current selection panel, their future is now sealed, saying that the State House meeting resolved that the ongoing process be halted to pave way for the bipartisan process, meaning, this is a new commission that is going to be put in place. The deal is sealed.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Even if you're going to seal, but then there is a legal landmine that we are potentially staring towards. That any member of that previous election panel can go to court and quash the decision by these people, bipartisan party. And he or she will be heard because, like I've told you, ushering in that selection panel and that committee that is there was a legal process. Remember, even within the speech by the President of the Republic, he acknowledged that even putting this committee was through a constitutional provision process. And therefore, since with the protest and to yield into the demands of the opposition, this is now going to approach a bipartisan process. Look here, Victor, it is now going to be a political process, not a legal process, that's what I'm telling you. You stare into what I was telling you, the BBI recently, that the court quashed in 2021. That was a political process. Then it was quashed by a legal process. So even this one, I'm saying, there is a potential that if these two, if there is unless the state or the government is willing to have, a gentleman's ladies' agreement with the committee to agree, how then do we send you home? In an agreement. But if it is a process that any of the representation of the committee do not understand, then they can go to court and quash that process as well.
Daniel, we've had this issue over and over again. After every electoral cycle, there's that issue of the Electoral Commission, an independent body. And if you ask me, it's one of the independent bodies that have always received a fair share of attacks and threats and intimidation and overhaul after an overhaul. At what point will you have this, this political hygiene at the commission once and for all?
Of course, and for us having a political hygiene is avoiding processes like the one we are seeing. Because you can confidently confirm that ever since we established an election commission, ever since the Kivritis Commission, there have been a consistent onslaught and a political onslaught in the functioning of the electoral management body. That that shots are called from a higher body. Victor, we are seated here, and you're seeing that there's a book serialization by Isaka-san, the former chair of the commission, who steered a referendum, of course, and an interim IBC by that time. In his book serialization, he accounts and he gives a records on how one of the political leaders made a nasty call to him. Okay? It is in the public, it is in the papers according to his publication. Now look, the Isaka-san Commission was equally sent home by a bipartisan process, right? Where Jubilee and probably NASA by that time, the court by that time agreed that since there is an onslaught in the Isaka-san Commission, remember the opposition was again onslaughting the IBC must go by that time. And Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, in his wisdom, rallied the troops for Jubilee. Raila Odinga on the other side rallied the troops for court. And there was a bipartisan agreement that ushered in the Chebukati Commission. You remember? Right now, it's unfortunate, unfortunately, the former chair of the commission has retired. We are having the Chair 4 Commission that by default, the Muchelila, led tribunal has equally found them culpable. Now here again, we are into a bipartisan process where again, we are having a commission whose constitutional process and whose recruitment process is going to be a bipartisan. What is this telling you? There is an end to a political onslaught in the IEBC. So probably this would not be a political hygiene. This is another problem we are creating in this commission.
Haven't you learned from the past, Daniel, that, you know, we go to an election, we see all these things happen, we have 5 years to study the behavior of the Electoral Commission and the, you know, the independent body. Haven't you learned, or don't you have that time to learn and say, before we get into the next electoral cycle, this is what you're going to do? But rather than wait until we get into a situation where we had to go on the streets and people had to, you know, protest and what have you, for this kind of decision to be made. Lives have been lost and property have been destroyed just for a constitution of a new commission.
Unfortunately, that is what happens in our political cycle. Every time there is a protest and there is disenchantment by, one of the memorandum is the IEBC, every post-electoral period. But again, like I've told you, this is not an end game. It's a beginning of another turmoil in the commission, in the Electoral Management Commission. And remember that the process would be strictly confined to political parties, processes. I was in a different platform, really urging that, you see, why we are finding ourselves here is simply because the other institutions that is supposed to be leading a people-centric, movements like this are actually not taking their place. We would have actually wished to see civil society leading this process of recruitment. We would have wished that we would see our religious leaders leading this process. We would have seen a process where, the media actually, as you always do, lead this process. But unfortunately, that is not the case.
Let's take a break. When you come back, we're still going to discuss more on that and the way forward. 1 week ultimatum given to the government for this kind of process to take place. What is the way forward? That and much more shortly after this break. Stay with us.
To get married. How could she have left with that
peasant? Leave me alone with her. Just leave us alone.
No, Mr. Oligario. I have the right to clear this up. I'm with her.
I asked you a question, Zenaida. Where is my daughter?
I won't have a relationship with someone who's a backstabber, no matter if he's the manager.
This wedding of yours is the only thing that can save us from losing all that we have. Amparo's the perfect wife for you.
My soul is very sick, Father. It's on fire.
You tell me what's going on.
It was Fabiola, and now Amparo is doing this to you.
I've told you, I don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Get out of my office, go to the pool or buy your rags.
It is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns to the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person you cannot give the ball to, it's the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45 p.m. Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning. Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Ili kupata sikiza tuni hii ya usini record, bonyeza star 811 star 396 hash.
Unakata pia kabaya Wakenya mnakuanga nako ya kuweka mtu kwa speaker alafu mnarekodi sauti yake bila ruhusa. Nikipata sauti yangu ina trend huko nje na kuna pesa napata, mtajua mimi mlu yako na roya na sina roya binadamu. Usini record.
Ili kupata sikiza tuni hii usini record, bonyeza star 811 star 396 hash.
Welcome back. All right, welcome back. And thank you for staying with us. All right, on the front page of the Daily Nation, search for Ruto, Raila, deal starts. Search for Ruto, Raila, deal starts. Details emerge on the talks that led to truce. Details emerge on the talks that led to truce. Now, a day after Azimio Chief Raila Odinga called off anti-government protest in response to President William Ruto's offer to consensus in the recruitment of poll commissioners, the two sides hit the ground running as they met separately to pick representatives to the team that will formulate terms of engagement. All right, the team that will formulate terms of engagement. Now, that is the ad hoc committee, and it has to pass through Parliament. Getting to that, of course, Daniel has also touched on that. Death of two students sparks fears over safety in school. Death of two students sparks fears over safety in schools. Sacred Heart Mukumu Girls High School in Kakamega County was yesterday closed for the remainder of the term following an outbreak of a yet-to-be-disclosed disease that has killed two students and left several girls hospitalized. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Very quickly, on to the second page. Day I almost sacked Oswago and how Raila saved them. That is a serialization by Isaac Hassan. I think you're just trying to give out the details of how the book that has been titled Referee Dirty Ugly Game. Referee of a dirty, ugly game. You can take a copy if you can get access to one. Take a look at that. Ruto Raila teams in race to roll out bipartisan process. The big question that I'd like to ask you, Daniel, is that we have got politicians taking their slot, their stage, Parliament, the two big, okay, that is President William Ruto and Leader Raila Odinga. All of them have already taken their position. So where is the voice of the voter?
Yeah, I think before we took a break, I was talking about the missing voices of the voters and the public, and alluding to the fact that in such an instance, the civil society organization would come in handy, because the civil society is touted as the voice of the voter, as the voice of of the public. But unfortunately, these spaces, the race towards the formation of this commission was hijacked by a political class at the expedience of the other players in this field. And that definitely, confirms that the main decision makers, even on the outlook of this particular panel, and definitely, ultimately, the commissioners, would be in the interest of the political players. And like I told you before, a process that clearly is defined in the structure, in the the legal documents, now begins to take a bipartisan process. And therefore, these commissioners, or the formation of these commissioners, is purely in the interest of the big political parties. There will be no accountability. There will be no, process of recourse. There will be no, any other way a citizen would be able to hold this commission accountable. Because the assumption is that the political parties and the representatives of these political parties are the voices of the people. And probably that is right, and it's probably wrong also as well. Because the Constitution delegates that power to the Parliament. And like you said, if this law is going to be debated in Parliament, and by the way, it's going to pass unanimously, because there will be no any other, any other opposition to it. You could be prepared that if the committee, or if the two parties or two coalitions are going to agree on the members to sit on this panel, if they are going to be fronted in the floor of the National Assembly, there'll be unanimous approval. Because a day or the morning to that debate, you will see these political party leaders calling their members of parliament to different quarters and asking them not to raise hurdles. And therefore, the decision will be unanimous. That leaves an egg in the eye of other players. That leaves an ugly egg in the eye of Law Society of Kenya, in the eye of, the Interreligious Council, in the eye of, other commissions. So this really confirms that there will be no stake for citizens, unless, like I've told you, that all interested political players, all political parties, besides the political parties, citizens would definitely move to court. Unfortunately, the public litigants, like the Honorable Okiya Mutata, is no longer, a public litigant. He's also joined the political class as a senator. So it's quite difficult for him to go and quash that processes, because his political party is one of the bigger players in this bipartisan process right now. So it is in the mercy of, probably legal fraternity, probably the civil society, the interested players and the media to question, particularly this bipartisan process, how then would it be held to account?
Then why do you think the opposition was opposed to the previous committee, that was the selection panel?
I would confidently tell you this, because there was no consultation. There was no, let me say, that there was no quote-unquote inclusion as it is right now. Because remember that look at the pronouncement in the speeches of these two leaders of our country. Our president, our beloved president, says that for us to quash this kind of demonstration that is destroying property, and lives are being lost and properties are being burned up and down, it is for us to yield into this kind of dialogue. And the dialogue is to yield into the demand. So, the proposal by the opposition, of the opposition was a bipartisan process. It was not a process that is so inclusive. And this is why I'm telling you that yesterday again I noticed this, and I noted it. I said, if there is a possibilities of opening a space for a dialogue, why would we be a structured and a robust dialogue open to other civil, all players, Victor? Why would this dialogue be open? Why is it so confined to the political players themselves? Because I definitely agree that, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, in his speech, actually agreed to the dialogue, and probably giving a space for 7 days for this dialogue to kickstart. But I think there was an absentia on his commitment in opening this dialogue to other players.
They had three concerns: opening of the server, cost of living, and now the constitution of the commission. So far, what's now taking the center stage and what's on the front pages of the Daily Nation, local dailies, is the constitution of the commission. The cost of living is not being discussed right now, and the opening of the server is not being discussed. Why?
Because that's what I'm telling you. The interest of all these, both the parties and both, these players were definitely into the formation of the Electoral Commission. I think I can.
So that sense of priority.
That was the cost of living, the issue about, other opening. Of course, there will other demands about the opening of the server. But I think this will fizzle with time, because the reality is that we are not able to open the servers because the Supreme Court actually gave, the permission. You remember when there was a ruling by the Chief Justice, that there would be an access to the servers on a readable user to see exactly what was there. I think by that time the issue of the servers were dispensed, because then it was within one of the the items of the Supreme Court. I highly doubt if right now we would have a priority of opening these servers again, for any political players to do. One of the things that I agree in the statement by the opposition was that there needs to be an audit of the commission. I think that is within time, because we have a commission that exited, that was not audited. For us exactly to see a robust auditing of the commission that would actually give the public information to other things. Remember in the report that the IEBC gave out as they exit, the commissioners were exiting, was that there's a larger number of people who abstained from voting.
Yes.
There was a larger number of special interest groups that were excluded and they didn't participate in the elections. So I wish and I agree that one of the things that we could actually see is that there needs to be an independent auditing of the performance of the electoral management body. But the issues of opening the server, I think, is an issue that is not realistic, even as we speak right now.
At this particular point, you've realized that the two sides, the minority and majority, have softened their hard stands. Over the past 1-2 weeks, I mean, it's been all chaotic. Everybody now pulling on their side. But after that, 2 hours kind of a discussion, the president started, and then opposition leader at around 7 p.m. also had a press conference. At that particular point, the smoke completely died.
Yes.
And we saw some sense at the end or the other side. And now we can see people talking.
Yes.
Daniel, do we have to pull on our side for us to be heard, or do we have to resort to discussion and dialogue for things to be done? Because if you realized, when the president spoke, Raila Odinga also spoke, everything completely died. We've not had any political rhetoric or hard stance since then. 2 days now.
Yes, it happens, and this is why I'm saying it's fortunately, unfortunately, because we do not have any other alternative, any other third player in this process, and therefore it seems that we are, as a citizen, we are extremely polarized in the fact that you are either following the other political coalition or the other one. And there is no in between. So for those of us who are in between, is that we are either the silent majority or silent minority.
Yes.
You saw the intrigues on Sunday. And one, this is something that was seen coming, Victor. You could see that, as usual, the big principals did not attend these church services.
None of them did.
None of them was there. So actually it's until around 12 or 1 p.m. If you were very keen, you could have realized that there was something really going on underneath.
That I actually expected that to happen, I would tell you no. Because the tension was high. Literally the tension was high when Raila Odinga said that Monday was going to be, quote unquote, manner of all demonstrations, and then now all of a sudden at around 5:30 the president spoke.
No, I think
at 7 ODM leader Raila Odinga also spoke. And nobody saw that coming.
If you could have,
that is the beauty of politics.
Yes, if you could have seen exactly the accounting of what took place, is that it was not by default. Normally you could sense that they are missing that jigsaw puzzle. There's some of it that are missing completely, and something that took us in surprise is that even as the invite to a press statement came in, some of these political players in Muranga were still bashing these other sides and these other sides. And you could see it live streams in some media stations where a political rally in Muranga, people were still bashing the opposition leader without knowing that the president had called for a press, a press statement.
Right.
So
let's take
also the other side, I think it is. This was foreseen for those who are keen. You could see it coming on Sunday.
If you ask me, did I see it coming on that Sunday? No, I'll tell you. No. All right, let's take a look on what we have on the front page of the Standard. Hope after demo deal. Hope after demo deal. After incessant pressure, both locally and internationally, President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga climbed down from their positions and agreed to dialogue, a move that has been received with jubilation across the country, with traders, church leaders and politicians hoping for long-lasting solutions. After incessant pressure, both from locally and internationally, President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga climbed down from their positions and agreed to dialogue, a move that has been received with jubilation across the country, with the traders, church leaders and politicians hoping for long-lasting solution. Let me pick it from there. Church leaders and politicians hoping for a long-lasting solutions. What are these? Actually, this is based on what I've just asked you, that after every electoral cycle, we usually go back to where it all began. There is that issue of mistrust from, amongst the politicians themselves. The person getting direct shot is the electoral body, getting a hit after hit. And then, at the end of the day, politicians will always say election was not done according to the law. But this only happens with the presidential elections. The MCA was never contested. Members of parliament was not. Senators, women rep, and all those elective positions. It only happens at the top seat.
Yes. Because I see our constitutional is presidential. We have a presidential, constitution here where a lot is accumulated and attributed. You see, it's the history of this country, alludes the fact that we have a centralized government. Even as much as we try to devolve the system of government, we still have a lot of power concentrated at the presidency. And you could see why the opposition's members of parliament are paying homage, are still visiting State House in the guise that we are going to look for development. In the assumption that whoever assumes the position of president or any ethnic, that is affiliated to the presidency accumulates a lot of power and serves a lot of privileges.
Before you continue, Daniel,
so this is why...
Just a minute. When you look at that photo, Director, please just have a full screen, kindly. When you look at that photo, thank you. The two gentlemen.
Yes.
What do you see? All these people have worked together before very well. Staunch supporter.
Yes.
They've worked together.
Yes.
When you look at the president and now ODM leader Raila Odinga, what do you see? And the president called Raila Odinga my brother.
Yes. Well, I think these two protagonists, they have served differently in the same political position. One is that they were all live members of KANU.
Yes.
Okay.
So all students of
all students of Nyayo, and while one, served as a longer time in the YK 92, as a mobilizer, Youth for KANU in 1992. The other one joined in as the Secretary General of KANU, came in and, LDP joined, and then there was a new KANU.
It's good to get the history, because for those people who do not understand the working relationship of these two gentlemen.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And after that is that they were dissatisfied by, by the Nyayo decision to make Uhuru Kenyatta to be the presidential candidate in 2002, and they all exited KANU, and they agreed that they be part of the ODM by that time. They also joined ODM by other factors.
Which president was also a member of ODM?
Pentagon.
Right.
You remember that Pentagon, the very, very strong...
The likes of Charity Ngilu.
Yes, the likes
Najib
of Najib Balala and the late Nyaga. These people. And let me tell you that it is in Kasarani, it is right now the President of the Republic of Kenya, being a member of Pentagon, stepped down for Raila Odinga and endorsed Raila Odinga as a presidential candidate, under ODM. It could interest you that there is one person that is not here that is also a founder member of ODM.
And who is that?
The two of them. That is Uhuru Kenyatta was a founder member of ODM, and Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, founder members of ODM.
Do you remember President William Ruto calling Agwambo?
Yes.
If you want to lead the orchestra, what must you do? That famous quote.
Yes. So
you must.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These two people, and even other political players, and unfortunately, because now their faces are as the two protagonists here, but they have worked together. It is, and you could see if the president was in Kisii, gave an account. And I like what you've said, that sometimes it's important to tell the public, you know, that these two individuals is not worth, you know, taking your lives for these people. Because all of them have worked, they are friends, they know each other very well.
Yes.
Remember the accounts in Kisii when the president says that for once he has voted for Agwambo, right? And I'm quoting what he said, is in the public domain. That is right.
That was in Migori, yes. What
in Migori as well as in Kisii, he said that before. That he has worked and he gave himself for Agwambo and he gave his vote. It's high time for Agwambo to consider supporting him, because he had supported him before. He even gave account on how he went to ICC on behalf of Raila Odinga. And one of the things we need to tell these people, that these political players and these two brothers can cede ground for each other.
I like the way you've also called it the two brothers.
Yes, and he mentioned in his statement that he's extending a hand to his brother.
Okay. Let's bring it back in studio and ask. So it's possible for the two gentlemen to sit at a round table just the same way and, you know, call each other, you know, this is it. We've been there before.
Exactly.
Tufanyaje.
And who told you they might have not have sat together?
No,
you know, some of these things, and you know, some of these things are, because
we have no info.
I see the likes of Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah making hard political stance. I see the likes of Honorable Babu Owino making hard political stance.
Which is expected in politics.
Which is expected.
Right.
And drawing, you know, making hard lines.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Victor, if anyone is saying that there is no probability of a handshake, it is not your hands that will be shaken. Okay? Let's
but
tell
it
them.
will be a different kind of a handshake. It could be either a handshake over cost of living.
It could be.
It could be a handshake, you know, to resolve the issue of the electoral commission.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It might not be really reaching out and shaking, but of course they might have shake hands as well. We don't know. That's why we are saying we don't know the intrigues that happens on Sunday. Okay, that led to the speeches, and the speeches were congruent. You could see there was an agreement, which perhaps tells you that there would be a harmonization of those speeches.
Yeah.
It might have happened. There might have been phone calls for them to agree on how to address this public. There might be, we don't know. And like you've read, probably there might be a meeting that had been, you know, championed by the international community. Senator Chris Coons was here, the Delaware senator who was spearheaded the 2018 handshake. Things might have happened. So that's what I'm saying. It is a possibility, like you're saying, to sit down. And that's why I've said that this dialogue is key to these political leaders. And how I wish that even as they dialogue honestly, and I agree with what the president says, could it be a dialogue that is also anchored into the constitutional provision?
Exactly.
Could be a dialogue that is also opened to a wide-ranging stakeholders. Could we convert this, just like we always have the National Prayer Day, could we also have a national day for the national dialogue? So that it could be a comprehensive dialogue that also listen into the key texts of other players that are here, that listen into the key texts now of Mama Mboga and, you know, the Ndudi riders, and listen to the key texts of people that matters on the public.
Okay, what kind of a handshake? What kind of a handshake would you propose? Imagine you appear before the two gentlemen, you know, and told, okay, Daniel, right? So this is the kind of a handshake that I want you to have. What kind of a handshake could you propose for the two gentlemen to have?
I think it's just a normal, you know, because it's a normal handshake. It's the beginning of an agreement.
Yes.
And by shaking hands is a general agreement that one is that there is, and I agree, there is a complete ceasefire.
So what is your take on handshake politics?
I think mine is generally is a complete ceasefire. That's what I'm saying, that let us stop this kind of, you know, demonstration. Remember, Victor, we are still talking about if it doesn't happen in 7 days, there's a probability of escalating the demonstration again.
Yeah.
So it means that it is not still confirmed that we are going to have a ceasefire for people to talk. In the event that the conversation breaks down, okay? In the event that there is no really agreement, it means that there's a probability of people going back to the streets.
All right.
So you ask what kind of an agreement that is that. Well, the kind of agreement that I foresee is a situation where the two could appear in public, okay? And follow up that cognizance, and in the context of the speeches that we made, differently, one in State House and one in Upper Hill, that we are now confirming to the public, the two of us. I foresee a situation where the two would have a joint press statement, okay, and agree that these are the takeaways for us to begin a process of a national reconciliation, of a process of a dialogue. And after giving the agenda items on what to agree on that dialogue, if it's a structured dialogue, is to clearly agree that these are the major things that are going to be discussed in finality, that there will be no deviation, that there will be no hard stand, that there will be no disruption of these that will lead people ultimately to again go back to the street.
Based on what
and
you
after
said,
that press statement, I wish that they would shake hands to be the beginning of a national reconciliation agenda.
Based on what you said, on the fourth page of the standard here, it says that Ruto, Raila truce lauded, but many want hardliners kept off dialogue.
Yes.
Ruto, Raila truce lauded, but many want hardliners kept off dialogue. You know, first of all, you know, when you want to go down to pray, first of all, you have to believe, hope, and, you know, flex yourself.
Yes.
When you have hardliners, conditions, when you have, you know, lines drawn already, this would definitely bring a very not so comfortable situation where you are coming for dialogue, but you have some cards hidden under the table.
Yes.
We all know that in politics you don't have to give your opponent your next move. The only thing to do is you ambush. That's exactly what happened on Sunday. We were ambushed. Nobody saw that coming. Probably you had an intel. I don't know.
I mean, it was just a turnout of things. It was, you know, for an analyst, you're able to see why some things are not in the trend as usual, and therefore you can deduce that something is really happening normally or abnormally. But you've asked. I think we would not really want to wish away the position of hardliners. Sometimes it's very important, especially when you are into a conversation that are critical like the one that the two leaders are in right now. The important role that the hardliners play is that they remind you, they remind you that even as you begin a process of conversation, there are other things that are reducible minimums that you would consider in that conversation. The importance of hardliners is that they remind you that you are accountable to the conversation, not only to yourself, but to the public and to your followers as well. So I think let us not, you know, deem hardliners are hard people. No, they also provide checks and balances in a conversation, in an agreement. But I think it is prudent. It is much in the discretion of those who are headed to a two gentlemen's agreement also to remember that it is in the interest of a state, in the interest of the nation. That even as hardliners are having their position, that ultimately that conversation should consider the peace and stability of a country. That should consider that we are having a country that is still going through an economic turmoil, that needs an economic recovery.
Once this is done,
so
Victor,
sorry, that's what I'm saying, that even as you look into the 2008 reconciliation process that was led by Kofi Annan and other panel of the wise, and other people, AU and those who are sent, they were hardliners, including some of which we know right now are leaders.
Hardliners are also healthy during a dialogue.
That's what I'm saying. They're important in the dialogue. In that when you retreat back to your, to your functions, you are reminded of some of these important agenda items in your conversation. That is also important for hardliners to play. But like I've said, it is in the discretion of the person who are in this dialogue to remember that beyond hardline stance, the interest and the peace and security of a country is at stake. And ultimately, if we have someone who is able to balance the interest of this hardlines position and also remind you that the country comes first, then you are able to have a conclusive dialogue. This is very important.
Daniel, 2010 Constitution, all these two gentlemen participated in the 2010 Constitution. We had the Chungwa, the banana side, and what have you, which was chaired by the late Kivuitu. All these proposals that we are now seeing in the electoral agency, forming of electoral commissions and independent bodies, is part of a constitution. But then, why is it that each and every time we still go back to the cycle? Why hasn't the 2010 Constitution healed these and sealed such kind of issues once and for all? We keep on going back to the streets. We keep on going back to the trenches to talk about something that was supposed to be cured by the 2010 Constitution.
We still come back to what I told you, is that our Constitution is always being the process of implementation, the process of amending it, the process of interpretation is in the discretion of a political class. And therefore, should they feel that their interests are threatened, then they interpret the Constitution based on their interest and whips the public emotions towards, a process of amendment that is within their interest. I would tell you that, it's time for us to review the Constitution. It's after 10 years.
Yes.
It is provided for in the, in chapter 16 of the Constitution. Amendment of a Constitution is provisional. Is there in the Constitution. But who actually leads the amendment?
Don't you think it was just left open deliberately?
It was open deliberately because we know that the Constitution is a living document. It is not cast on stones. And that is why, remember, Right Honorable Raila Odinga said in the Constitution that we know that this document is not perfect. You remember the campaign?
Yeah.
Then he said, even as we pass it, let us also be cognizant that we will come back and seek for amendment after years. Look, we had an amendment that was proposed in 2021 through the Building Bridges Initiative. Victor, some of the proposals that were envisioned in the Building Bridges initiatives, I wish that we would not have thrown the baby with the bathwater. If we would have listened keenly on the contents of that Building Bridges initiative without politicizing it, as whether it's belonging to the handshake or the Tanga movement as what, then some of these things could have been cured. I will tell you, for example, in the BBI, there was a proposal of accountable structured opposition that was in the BBI. If you read keenly, that we would have an opposition that would be domesticated within the parliament, that would question, that would have an opposition that would catch it in, that if we have someone being a runners-up in the elections with over 7 million people, he would not just become a normal citizen. Okay? This is a person that has a following over millions of people. Why would he be just a citizen? There would be a provision for such an individual to be in the parliament as an official opposition who is provided for and which is catered for by the taxpayers' money.
Let me give me something which was said by David Kosing, who is the West Pokot South Member of Parliament. And this is what he said. These are our unique circumstances on why we are a handshake democracy. Kenyans do not want a winner-takes-it-all system. They want inclusivity. This raises a very interesting question. In the continent, Kenya portrays a unique way of managing its democracy. Give me one country in Africa in the recent past that have actually experienced what we've experienced. We had a handshake with Kibaki, remember? We had a handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta. We've not had a handshake yet, but even with Moi, Kenya's democracy is unique.
It is.
And all this began with the repeal of Section 2A.
Remember? Victor, I think it's important. On the 28th and the 29th, I was in Zambia for the U.S. Democracy Summit that was looking at what is the democracy states, the state of democracy in Africa as well. And Zambia, Costa Rica, the Netherlands, and the U.S. were co-hosting a summit for democracy for 2023. And so in the halls, there was a discussion about Kenyan democracy. And I like the fact that you brought it out. And Kenyan democracy was compared to a growing democracy. And that's why I was in a different platform yesterday, and I urged people, Kenya situation is not rosy. For us, because we are lamenting, because we're in this country, we think our situation is bad. It is not bad. Zambians are actually coming up here to learn from CDF, even as we speak.
To benchmark.
Okay. They've already benchmarked on how our CDF is working, and they're implementing it. Okay. Tanzanians are coming to learn on how our parliament debates. How is it that Kenyan parliament is so proactive and pro-democratic? But on the other side, we are crying about our members of parliament. So I would like to tell you that Kenyan democracy to begin with, and I love the fact that you brought the question in comparison with other African countries in the world. Kenyan democracy is stable by the fact that people come demonstrate, by the fact that media can hold the government to account without a blackout, without being switched off. And I like what the president said, that we are past where we would switch off internet and we would switch off, media stations. Our neighbors here in Uganda, during the elections, there's a media blackout. Even as we speak, Facebook is banned in Uganda here. They're using Telegram and all these things, to access. I am telling you, in Nigeria, the country is still struggling, even as we speak, There is a court hearing process of elections. They are worried whether the judiciary will be independent enough. And one of the members of parliament posted the outcome of, the Supreme Court, Maraga's ruling, posted the outcome for members to see. Is a yearning that they wish that the judiciary in their country would be much like the ones in Kenya. You asked about where the handshake was, and I will tell you where they tried handshake and it failed. After the 2007-2008 election, post-election violence, Morgan Tsvangirai, tried a handshake with Robert Mugabe. Few months down the line, it collapsed because there was no trust. That process, they tried.
First of all, a handshake has to have some strong basis, a foundation. Why are we having a handshake? It has to be documented.
It has to be documented. It has to be a process that is led.
Right.
So they tried the Kenyan handshake, but it collapsed few months after that. Okay. In Democratic Republic of Congo, you remember when they also tried the handshake. The current president, Felix Tshisekedi, he tried a handshake with the outgoing president. It collapsed. So I am trying to look at the situation and I agree with you that even as much as we lampoon our political leaders, even as much as we try to cartoonize, our political process, we are on a stable process. And the country is in a stable process, and we only need to see is that we have other processes of checks and balances that is able to hold these political leaders accountable. The process of electoral justice cannot be left to Honorable Raila Odinga. It cannot be only left to Honorable Raila Odinga and William Ruto to do that. The process of electoral reforms cannot be left to ODM and Kenya Kwanza to do it. It's a process that must be left also to the civil society to do. It's a process that other people must forcefully get themselves to provide accountability to that process.
So which means it's a blessing in disguise, and Kenyans, we should embrace.
We should embrace what we have. We should appreciate the level of democracy that we have gone. And I can confidently tell you that even though there are people that would want to have us to slide into anarchy, our checks and balances are structured cannot allow
running out of time. Just after 1 minute, we have 1 week, and the process is already on. I know, Parliament is on a very short recess, but if need be, they'll be recalled for them to debate on this. But then the question is, what should we expect after 1 week or two?
After 1 week, I expect that these two leaders, of course, the bipartisan political process is going to take place where they would have brought their representatives to occupy the selection panel. But I also foresee a situation where after them doing that, the civil society is going to move to court to quash that process.
Yes.
In the anticipation that that process is not legal.
Okay.
That process is political, is not a legal process. I also foresee a situation where all these political players will be asked to come back to the drawing board and begin a negotiation of what they would do with the already select members of selection panel. Are they also going to be given a handshake to release them from the office?
Okay.
Are they going to be compensated for the full time they have served in the selection panel? I think these are conversations that I foresee coming.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Daniel Orogo, that was perfect. Wow. Energy in the morning. It's been a cold day here in Nairobi, but you know how we do it? We serve you some hot breakfast here on Good Morning Kenya, People and Politics. All right, let's take a break. And we come back, we'll be crossing over to Radio Taifa. Today, the discussion is Roadmap to National Unity. We have got Rashid Mwamkondo with a discussion there. Guest Gibson Gesori, who is a political analyst. We also have Nimrod Mbai, MP Kitui East, as well as Charles Owino, former police spokesperson. That is a discussion that you don't want to miss on Zinga on KBC Radio Taifa. That is coming shortly after this. From me, good morning, I'm Victor Lowe.
is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns with the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person you cannot give the ball to, it's the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45 p.m.
Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning.
Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
We were about to get married. How could she have left with that
Leave me
peasant?
alone with her. Just leave us alone.
No, Mr. Oligario. I have the right to clear this up. I'm with her.
I asked you a question, Zenaida. Where is my daughter?
I won't have a relationship with someone who's a backstabber, no matter if he's the manager.
This wedding of yours is the only thing that can save us from losing all that we have. Ampara's the perfect wife for you.
My soul is very sick, Father. It's on fire.
You tell me what's going on.
It was Fabiola, and now Amparo is doing this to you.
I've told you, I don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Get out of my office. Go to the pool or buy your rags.
Your senior potential. Unafanya kazi nzuri sana.
Na tukilinganisha na zile recommendations ambazo tulipewa na Inspector Torome, we believe this is the right pitch for you.
Hey! Unataka nini wewe? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini mutaki?
Governor, there are rumors that you have another family.
Rumors that I have another family. Well, this is my family, and I think it's one.
What do you think?
Barabara kabisa, mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba popote ulipo. Siku zote Waswahili wanasema kwamba kumekucha, kuchele aghalabu sio mchele. Asanteni sana wenzangu upande wa pili, Bwana Harus Ram Aguk, vile vile pia na kuona Victor Olo, bila kuwasahau dada zangu kule Dorin na vile vile pia Regina. Mtazamaji mahali popote ulipo, karibu sana kwenye sehemu yetu ya kipindi cha Zinga, kipindi ambacho kujia kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 3 tunachanganua masuala yenye umuhimu wa kitaifa. Na mtazamaji, ukiangalia ni kwamba kipindi hiki kinakujia kupitia runinga ya KBC Channel 1 na vile vile pia kupitia KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Na kumbuka pia ukienda kwenye ukurasa wetu wa Facebook KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya, unaweza ukafuata matangazo haya mubashara kabisa. Kwa hiyo like page yetu, twende nalo. Mtazamaji, kumbuka wiki 2 zilizopita taifa la Kenya limeshuhudia maandamano ambayo mtazamaji yameletwa na upinzani wakitaka nini? Marekebisho katika idara ya EBC na vile vile pia gharama ya maisha kwenda chini. Mtazamaji, kumbuka ni hivi majuzi tu siku ya Jumapili ambayo ilikuwa ni Jumapili ya mitende. Ni Jumapili ambayo ilileta mwamko mpya katika taifa la Kenya, katika ikulu ya Nairobi na vile vile pia katika jengo la Capitol Hill hapa jijini Nairobi, ambapo Rais Daktari William Samoei Ruto alimrai kiongozi wa upinzani Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga kuweza kusitisha maandamano ya Jumatatu na Alhamisi kupisha nafasi kwa mazungumzo. Mtazamaji, ndani ya studio kuweza kulijadili suala hili, mtazamaji, kumbuka pande zote mbili zina wafuasi wengi tu sana wa kisiasa, upande wa upinzani na upande wa serikali. Hata hivyo, Kenya itaafikia vipi, mtazamaji, mshikamano wa kitaifa? Maswala ambayo yameibiwa yatatatuliwa vipi? Ni maswala muhimu ambayo yatajibiwa na wageni hapa ndani ya studio, na bila kupoteza nukta sekunde wala dakika, ninao ndani ya studio wakili na mchanganuzi wa maswala ya kisiasa Mheshimiwa Gibson Gisore. Karibu sana.
Asante sana Rashid.
Na vile vile pia niko naye aliyekuwa msemaji wa polisi Bwana Charles Owino. Karibu sana.
Asante sana ndugu yangu.
Wajua zama zako kulikuwa na mkubwa wa polisi, lakini Wakenya walikuwa hata wajui mkubwa wa polisi. Ulikuwa ukiwauliza wanakuambia Charles Owino. Sijui ulikuwa ukitumia mbinu gani bwana, lakini karibu sana ndani ya kipindi.
Asante.
Labda tuanze na swala hili muhimu, nikianza na ndugu yangu Charles Owino. Rais William Ruto juzi Jumapili aliweza kutoa taarifa kutoka ikulu, kisha baadaye kiongozi wa upinzani Raila Odinga akatoa taarifa. Je, kuna mmoja alifail, kuna mmoja alizama, ama tunaiweka vipi?
La, tuwezi sema hivyo. Rais ana jukumu kubwa ya kuhakikisha kwamba ameunganisha nchi kwa jumla, hata kama kuna shida. Na pia mkuu wa upinzani pia ako na jukumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba hawajaribu nchi vile ilikuwa inaendelea. Kwa sababu kwa mimi binafsi vile nafikiria hatukuwa na sababu ya kuandamana, kwa sababu tuko na bunge na wenzetu wenye wako upinzani katika bunge wako na nafasi ya kuzungumza katika bunge. Lakini unajua wanasiasa ni wanasiasa, huwezi jua wako na mbinu yao ya kufanya mambo tofauti. So siwezi sema kwamba kuna mmoja yao, na wanasema kwa lugha ya kimombo kublink blink kwanza. Nadhani yale wamefanya ni mzuri, na tutaomba kwamba iendelee vile wamezungumza, na tuhakikishe kwamba nchi imeendelea, kwa sababu umesikia watu wakisema uchumi ni mbaya.
Kweli.
Na ukiwa tuna uchumi mbaya na vile maandamano tulikuwa naye, kitu ya kwanza unajua watalii walitoroka. Tulikuwa na meli kubwa sana ilikuwa imetia nanga pale Mombasa na ikarudi ikaenda Dar es Salaam, na watalii wengi, hotel bookings na nini hazikuweza kufanyika vile ilikuwa inatakikana. So mambo ya uchumi ni kitu muhimu, na sasa pia kunanyesha, tulikuwa na ukame na ni wakati ya watu kufanya kazi. So nadhani ni muhimu waendelee kuzungumza, bora tusiwe na nusu mkati katika serikali. Kwa sababu ile kitu tumeona opposition wakiingiana na serikali, basi raia wanaumia. So serikali ifanye kazi yao, opposition ifanye kazi yao ya kuhakikisha serikali imefanya zile vitu walikuwa wameahidi. Lakini ukiwacha serikali na opposition waende kwa kitanda moja, basi raia wataumia.
Bila shaka unanikumbusha juzi katika hotuba yake rais anasema kwamba tusirudie makosa yaliyofanyika na handshake ya tu kujua serikali ni ipi wala upinzani ni upi. Nikirudi kwako Bwana Gibson Gisore, Bwana Charles Owino alisema kwamba hatukuwa na sababu ya kuweza kuandamana kwa sababu kuna bunge. Wewe ni mwanasheria, wewe ni wakili, na tulipokuwa tunapiga gumzo hapa Charles Owino alisema kidogo mawakili wengi wakati wa maandamano mlishindwa kutafsiri. Je, unahisi kwamba amesema vizuri hakukuwa na sababu ya kuandamana wakati katiba imeweka wazi swala hili?
Kulingana na mimi kama wakili, kuandamana ni haki ya kisheria ya kila binadamu. Kama unahisi kuna mahali umefinywa, kama unahisi kuna mambo hayaendi mzuri, na uko na hiyo option ya kuandamana. Sasa kukubaliana naye kwa kiasi ni kwamba kulingana kisiasa hakukuwa na haja ya kuandamana, but kisheria kuna hiyo haki. Na unajua haki mtu anaweza itumia wakati wowote ambapo anafikiria anafaa kuitumia, na uwezi mzuia. Sio kama vile serikali ilikuwa inasema ati waache kuandamana, because hiyo ni constitutional right. Hiyo haifai kuchukuliwa kutoka kwa mtu yeyote. Hata ukisikia pale kwa chief amekuwa amewakosea, mnaweza andamana kumkataza yale mambo. So inafaa kwenda to the grassroots because it's enshrined in the constitution, because it's a way of activism. Sasa wanasiasa kwa pande mwingine, hapo ndio kunakuwa na shida. Wanaweza kutumia ile constitutional right ya kudemonstrate ili kuweza kufanya portray their political interests ambazo kidogo wakileta wale watu katika, unajua ukikuwa umeita mkutano wa maandamano unafaa kuwa in control. Unafaa kuwa umeambia waandamanaji wako tutatoka hapa tuende pale na hakuna kubeba mawe, hakuna kuharibu vitu ya mtu. So hapo ndio the failure inatokea. I think hapo ndio nakubaliana na yeye kwamba hiyo ndio the biggest downfall kwa hizi demonstrations, kwa sababu you find that these demonstrators hawawezi kukabili wale watu wao. They are not in control of the demonstrators, na watu wanaenda end up lose their kuna kitu inasema mahali haki zako zinafikia ndio zangu zinaanzia. Uko na haki ya kuandamana, but pia mimi niko na haki ya kumiliki mali yangu. So na polisi wako pale kuilinda. So hizi three parties zinafaa kuwork hand in hand to ensure that haki ya kuandamana imefanywa vilivyo, na haki ya kukua na mali isikuje kukua affected kwa vyovyote vile. Na polisi pia wako na haki ya kuensure mali imelindwa isije ikaharibiwa. So kidogo hapo ndio kunakuwa na mtafaruku. Unapata kwamba kuna watu wanahisia mbaya katika yale maandamano, wanataka kuloot, na polisi pia nao ni kama wanakuja na hasira mingi sana ambapo hawataki kungoja. Wakiona tu kitu yote, hata most of the cases actually kwa maandamano tumeona ni polisi wanaanza they are the first people to throw the stone. So kidogo wanaleta hiyo fujo kama wako make it chaotic.
Shikilia hapo namuona, unajua once a police always a police. Nambo
acha tumsikize.
Kitu ya kwanza vile amesema kuandamana ni haki.
Ndio.
Ukiangalia ibara ya 37 kila mtu ya katiba yetu ya Kenya, kila mtu ana haki ya kuandamana kwa utaratibu na bila silaha. Lakini pia ulikuwa umesema nilikuwa na wakosea kwa sababu ya kukosa kusoma sheria vizuri. Kwa sababu kuna kitu inaitwa operationalization ya constitution. Wewe unafahamu Swahili zaidi, utaweza kutuelezea vizuri. Ku operationalize katiba tunakuwa na acts of parliament.
Ndio.
Sasa mambo ya kuandamana tunakuwa na kitu inaitwa Public Order Act. Katika hiyo Public Order Act kuna sheria imewekwa namna ya si kuomba ruhusa na kuelezana. Inasemekana kwamba utaarifu ule mkuu wa polisi ya ile kituo ya polisi.
Unamaanisha OCS?
OCS, ya. Unamwarifu ndani ya siku 3 na si zaidi ya siku 14 kwamba unataka kuwa na maandamano. Na unasema mtasanyika wapi, ile eneo mtasanyika unasema ni eneo gani. Alafu pia unasema kwamba tutaandamana tukitoka katika eneo fulani mpaka eneo fulani. Hata kama ni kupeleka petition utasema utapeleka petition kwa ofisi ya rais, lakini penye tutakusanyika ni area fulani. Na vile amesema lazima uwe na control. Kuna ile officer ule mwenye ameitisha maandamano atakuwa na control. Unaona, lakini ukiangalia ile maandamano tulikuwa naye, unakuta Azimio waliandika barua kwa mkuu wa polisi, Inspector General. Na hiyo si sheria, hiyo si kazi ya Inspector General. Ile mtu unaarifu ni mkuu wa polisi wa ile kituo yenye iko na mamlaka. Unasema area of jurisdiction, si mkuu wa polisi. So ukielezea mkuu wa polisi, basi hujafuata ile sheria vile inatakikana. Ya pili, unakuta kwamba huwezi sema unaitisha maandamano Kenya nzima. Kwanza ukiitisha Kenya mzima lazima uelezee kila police station. Na kila police station lazima pia muwe na huyu anaitwa regulating officer, lakini pia muwe na ule mwenye anasimamia hiyo maandamano katika area hiyo yenye ataweza kucontrol watu yake. Na mjue kwamba kazi ya polisi haiwezi simama. Polisi kila siku katika police station lazima tuwe na polisi katika report office, na lazima tuwe na polisi ule anachunga mabusu kwa cell, na tuko na polisi katika crime branch, tuko na polisi eneo tofauti. Kila siku kuna zile cases zinatoka kotini, unakuta watu wanakuwa bonded, waende kotini siku fulani. Kuna maofisa lazima wafanye hiyo, kuna maofisa lazima waende pale kamiti wachukue prisoners wale bado hawajafungwa, walete katika police station. So unakuta kwamba ukisema utafanya maandamano Kenya nzima, basi huna nia nzuri, kwa sababu polisi watakuwa wachache, watakuwa overwhelmed. Lakini mimi naomba kama watarudia wafuate sheria, hakuna shida. Waseme tu tunataka kuandamana, na waseme wanataka kutoka eneo fulani mpaka eneo fulani. Watapewa farasi, watapewa nainai, nasikia anasema ati polisi ndio wanatupa mawe. Pale Kisumu niliona walienda kuibia duka ya
yule Msomali.
Na hata wakaua polisi. Huyo polisi angetumia bunduki yake akiwa anajaribu chunga maisha yake. Sahi ungeona katika maredio zote, matelevision, polisi
lakini bwana Owino, umelizungumzia vizuri. Inakuwaje maandamano ni haramu wakati ambapo iko kwenye katiba? Labda hapa kidogo ndo ilileta
haramu. Inaletwa kwa sababu hujafuata vile sheria. Nimekuambia operationalization ya hiyo ibara ya 37 ndio inakuwa operationalized na kitu inaitwa Public Order Act.
Ndio.
Na wewe umeandika barua wa Inspector General. Wao ni mawakili. Bwana Kalonzo ni wakili wa zamani.
Orengo.
Ni mtu mwachana na Orengo. Ako huko nyumbani hata ana shida. Orengo ana shida sahi, ni governor. Ako na kazi mingi, anasumbuliwa na raia huko. Kuna Karua hata amekuwa waziri wa sheria. Kalonzo amekuwa naibu wa rais. Hao ni watu wamefanya serikalini na wanafahamu. Lakini wanasiasa ni wanasiasa, wanapenda taruki. Mimi ile kitu niliona ndugu yangu, wanasiasa wana akili nzuri sana, ile inawafaa. Wasumbue serikali ya William Ruto akose ndipo wapate nafasi election ingine ikija waweze kumngoa.
Shikilia hapo tujikite kwenye mada yetu ambapo tunataka kuangazia kuhusiana na mshikamano wa kitaifa. Nikirudi kwako bwana wakili, katika siku chache zilizopita naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua, ambapo wengi wanasema kwamba endapo rais William Ruto atazungumza na kiongozi wa upinzani, basi naibu rais asiwe hapo. Amekuwa akisema kwamba hakutakuwa na mazungumzo na upande wa upinzani, lakini angalia juzi mheshimiwa rais Daktari William Ruto akihutubia taifa alitumia maneno haya Kiingereza akisema kwamba courage is what it takes to stand up and speak, but it is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Yani kwa Kiswahili kwamba mtu anahitaji ujasiri kusimama na kuongea, vile vile ujasiri huu unahitajika kuketi na kusikiliza. Labda tathmini yako, nafikiria ni kwa nini upande wa serikali uliamua kufanya mazungumzo na serikali? Labda kuna yule Senator Crooks kutoka Marekani ndo alibroki deal.
Nilikuwa kidogo on Sunday nikieleza watu mahali tulikuwa tumekaa kwamba hii maandamano haitachukua muda. Hii maandamano itasitishwa Sunday jioni. Wengine wakaniambia wewe hii kitu itaendelea. Nikamwambia hii Kenya kuna wale wako na nguvu kutuliko na hata hawaishi humu Kenya. Maoni yao wakishasema lazima msikilize. Mbona nasema hivyo? Kenya sahi tuko under the control ya ile World Bank na IMF. Hizi ni vyombo vya dola ambavyo vinakontroliwa na Marekani na European Union. Monthly ama quarterly they release monies to Kenya ya kulipa mshahara, ya kufanya kila kitu ambayo inahitajika kununua madawa na yale mengine. Sasa ikiwa wamesema kwamba tunataka kukue na order na wao ndio wanatoa pesa, hakuna vile mtaanza kukataa. Mkikataa mnakuwa blacklisted. The next thing mnasikia kuna ile cessation of traveling, unasikia your bank accounts have been closed, you have been considered a terrorist if it comes to us. And then kuna ICC, remember we have had an history about ICC. So ukiambiwa kwamba unaweza rudishwa pale ICC, kidogo hiyo inakuwa a personal threat, because unaambiwa sasa watu wakikufa hivi tunaenda unaona hata ule President Putin wa Russia na ile vita yake ya Ukraine already ICC imetoa warrants but yeye amekaidi, ameenda South Africa meeting, na nimeona wa South Africa wakisema tutaenda tumchukue kwa airport tumpeleke kwa mkutano na tumrudishe kwa ndege yake aende mahali anaenda. Sasa kama mnamshika mshike angani. Ule jamaa anatembea na Air Force yake jets, so itakuwa ngumu kumshika hata angani pia. So hiyo ndio maana kwamba tuliweza kuona president aliweza ku tone down the interest from outside in Kenya ni mingi. Kenya is a very important destination for not only Kenyans but for the world. America iko na one of the largest nini hapa Kenya ndio the embassy is the largest, controlling most of the African logistics and everything. So ukikuwa na maandamano mambo yao itaweza kusimama hata ile inaendelea kwa nchi zingine. Besides that kuna a lot of investments, companies zao zimemeka kama Coca-Cola nini, biashara yao itashuka. Na hii biashara unajua hii pesa wana collect huko inarudi pia huko. So pesa ambayo itakuwa inaenda kwa itakuwa inashuka. So kuna a lot of things ukiangalia ambapo watu wameweka mali yao ya dhamani ya pesa mingi ambayo ina run. Kenya is the headquarter of a lot of international companies. Kukikuwa na ile mfurugano kidogo hiyo haiwezi. Kenya tuko na office of the UN hapa. So watu watakuwa wanahudumia mambo ya UN, watakuwa wanaogopa kukaa kwa nyumba. So kidogo kama kuna sheria walikuwa wapitisha ama some policy ilikuwa ifanyike ama mkutano utafanyika kwa sababu ya hiyo. So kukikuwa na maandamano kama haya tumekuwa hapo mbeleni inaharibu vitu mingi. So kuna ile political interests na kuna ile pia losing lives of Kenyans na economy pia. Na pia yule ambaye anakupea chakula huwezi muelekezea kidole because anakuambia chakula yangu nitatoa, na hiyo kidogo iliweza kuwa communicated to the leaders. Of course that happens at the back door. Kwa maoni yangu hiyo ndio wanaambiwa, na kidogo unaona ukiangalia tone ya president ilikuwa very different. He was saying that we need to talk as my brother. You are my brother. Watu pale mtandaoni wakaanza kusema sasa Raila Odinga amekuwa na ndugu mwingine.
Si tena mzee wa vitendawili.
Sio mzee wa vitendawili na ile maoni ya kung'oa reli. Ni ndugu yangu. Tunaweza kaa tuongee kwa ajili ya kuendeleza hili. But ile pia ni statesmanship from the president kuona kwamba anaweza tone down waweze kuongea, na hiyo ndio tuko na tarajia.
Shikilia hapo wakili. Mtazamaji, mwelekezi wangu upande wa pili wa studio Ben Kamuti ananiambia nafaa kumeza maji ya tama la sharubeti, lakini namwambia mimi nimefunga paka saa 1 za usiku ndio nitakapofungua. Lakini kwa sasa wacha tupate pumziko fupi, lakini endapo kwa sasa ndio unafungua runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1, kipindi ni Good Morning Kenya na Zinga, na ndani ya studio niko naye aliyekuwa msemaji wa polisi Mheshimiwa Charles Owino, na niko naye wakili Gibson Gisore. Tunazungumzia mustakabala wa taifa letu. Je, ni vipi Kenya itafikia mshikamano wa kitaifa? Lakini kwa sasa tupate pumziko fupi. Naona mbunge hapa Nimrod Mbai ameingia mitini, lakini alikuwa anamtaka sana baada rais kurusha boli hili bungeni. Tupate mapumziko mafupi, tutakaporudi tutasonga mbele. Kumbuka upande wa pili wa Radio Taifa yuko mwenzangu mtumishi wa Mungu Dora Manya. Dora, kwako, na upande mwingine Channel 1, twende kazi.
It is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns to the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person person you cannot give the ball to is the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45.
Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning.
Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Abantu ba Mintombu Yamore.
Your favorite Ekegusi station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii and its environs.
Minto FM.
About to get married. How could she have left with that
Leave
peasant?
me alone with her. Just leave us alone.
No, Mr. Oligario. I have the right to clear this up. I'm with her.
I asked you a question, Zenaida. Where is my daughter?
I won't have a relationship with someone who's a backstabber, no matter if he's the manager.
This wedding of yours is the only thing that can save us from losing all that we have. Amparo is the perfect wife for you.
My soul is very sick, Father. It's on fire.
Can you tell me what's going on?
It was Fabiola, and now Amparo is doing this
I've
to you.
told you, I don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Get out of my office. Go to the pool or buy her rags.
You're seeing your potential. Unafanya kazi nzuri sana.
Na tukilinganisha na zile recommendations ambazo tulipewa na Inspector Torome, we believe this is the right pitch for you.
Hey! Unataka nini wewe? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini kama utaki?
Governor, there are rumors that you have another family.
Rumors that I have another family. Well, this is my family, and I think it's one.
What do you think?
Kabisa mtazamaji, karibu tena. Ikiwa hivi sasa nikiangalia kopo langu la saa ni dakika 18 timie saa 3. Ni furaha iliyoje kukuichagua runinga ya KBC Channel 1, mpango mzima kipindi Good Morning Kenya, na vile vile pia KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Ni stesheni ambayo inashika paka kule kwingine hakuna, kwa kina Dora Manya, yani Lodwa. Karibu tena, na namuona mheshimiwa hapa mbunge wa Kitui Mashariki Nimrod Mbai amejiunga nasi. Mtazamaji, endapo kwa sasa ndo unafungua redio yako ama unafungua runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1, tunaangalia mshikamano wa kitaifa. Kuna masuala ambayo yameibuliwa, yatatatuliwa vipi? Na bila kupoteza nukta sekunde wala dakika, nikirudi kwako mheshimiwa Mwanzo, karibu sana. Na nimeona ulipoingia tumemuita Charles Owino. Afande, kwani mnajuana?
Kwanza naomba ruhusa niendelee afande. Sasa tunaweza endelea na show ndugu yangu. Mmoja amekubali kwa sababu nimechelewa. Unajua mdosi akifika mbele yako iko hatari. Lakini niko na ruhusa sasa.
Nasikia wewe ni balozi wa polisi bungeni.
Kabisa.
Hata sauti inasema tu yaache hayo. Haya maandamano ya Azimio yameletwa kutokana kwamba wanasema hawakukubaliana na matokeo ya urais yaliyopita, na sana wameelekeza kidole cha lawama kwa tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka IEBC. Rais juzi akasema kwamba swala hili linaweza likatatuliwa bungeni. Sasa mpira umerushwa kwenu. Jana aliita viongozi wakuu bungeni kwa upande wake akazungumza nao. Je, swala linakuja hapa. Kuna ile tume ambayo ilikuwa imeundwa kuweza kuunda ama lile jopo kutafuta wale watakao kuwa kuwa katika IEBC. Kazi yake itakuwa vipi na mbona aliregeshwa bungeni? Kumaanisha mheshimiwa, nyinyi hamfanyi kazi yenu ama ni vipi? Hebu tueleze.
Unajua, katika kutengeneza sheria lazima jambo lianze mahali, aidha wizara fulani ianzishe ndio hiyo mjadala iletwe bungeni, ikue ile bill ndo ipitishwe na bunge, ikue act, iende kwa rais ya sign, ikue law. So kuna hii mjadala ilikuwa ya kutengeneza jopo la IEBC na ilianzishwa bungeni na ikaenda kwa rais, na rais yako na uwezo anaweza kubali kuisaini kwa sheria ama airudishe kwa mbunge. Na rais akirudisha kwa mbunge, msipofanyia kitu yoyote itakuwa sheria. So inaonekana rais ameamua vile ilienda kwake, kuna vitu ameangalia na vile inchi ilikuwa inaendelea, akaona ni mzuri rudi bunge, na pia anaandika na ile advice memo. Kuna memo anapeana ikiwa pamoja na ile bill, rekebisheni hapa kulingana na mimi. So ndio inakuja mbunge pia tunarekebisha ile areas rais amesema, ndio anarudishiwa, anaisign. So ni kama katika mambo ya IEBC ni kama hiyo bill yenye tulikuwa tumepitisha mbungeni ikue act, rais ameirudisha, na ameirudisha tuipige msasa kulingana na wasia wake vile yeye anaona, ndo aenda isign. Na ukiangalia jambo la kwanza lenye linaangaliziwa ni vile linakuwa nominated. Yale mashirika yanatoa wajumbe kuingia kwa IEBC, Public Service Commission, Parliamentary Service Commission, Judicial Service Commission, the church clergy, kuna human rights, kuna Law Society of Kenya. Ikasemekana iko na uwezo ya mtu mwenye amekalia mamlaka kama rais kuinfluence all those departments, watoe mtu mwenye anataka. Kwa hivyo, na kumbuka huyu rais atakuja kuwa mngombeaji. Kwa hivyo kuna timu ambayo lingechagua referee kulingana na hivi vitu vile imetengenezwa. Kwa hivyo rais akasema anataka bipartisan team itengeneze ile, ikue aipatii mtu moja, yani haionekani kama inaengemea mtu moja kuwa na mamlaka ya kuchagua timu yenye itakuwa kwa IEBC. Na ni jambo la busara kwa sababu lazima uchaguzi uwe wazi na pia uonekane uko wazi. Unajua kuna kuwa wazi na kuonekana kuwa wazi. Na hii ni njia moja ya uchaguzi kuonekana kuwa wazi. Kwa sababu IEBC ikionekana ilichaguliwa kwa uwazi, already uchaguzi imeanza kupata ile nguvu ya kuonekana iko wazi. Na ndio rais akasema irudishwe, itengenezwe. Na unakumbuka Rais William Ruto hata last election alikuwa anasema hata muweke ndugu ya Raila Uhuru Odinga akuwe chairman ya IEBC, mimi sina shida, nitashinda. So ndio anasema badala mwanze kuona ni kama natengeneza IEBC yenye itaveva Ruto, sasa turudishe, wekeni hiyo Uhuru Odinga yenu ndio akuja kuwe chairman, bado nitawashinda.
Nilijua tu mheshimiwa utakuja huko, shikilia hapa.
Lakini kuna kitu ningependa kuelezana watu wajue vile ilikuwa. Nadhani mwaka juzi ndio wale commissioners waine walichaguliwa. Nadhani walichaguliwa na ile sheria ile ingine, na ikaonekana kwamba itafavor mwenye serikali walikuwa wamependelea. Na hata ukiangalia vile ilienda uliona wale waine waleegemea upande moja. Na bado Rais Ruto akashinda.
Ngoja bwana Owino. Unasema wale wanne waliegemea upande mmoja. Na watatu nao wakaegemea upande mwingine, sio?
Lakini nasema hivi, kulingana na ile sheria ingetumika wakati huu ni similar na ile sheria ilitumika mwaka juzi ikiwa Rais Uhuru alikuwa kwa kiti. Na nadhani opposition wakati hiyo walikuwa pamoja na rais na hawakuwa na shida. Lakini sasa hivi wakaona kwamba hiyo sheria haifai, rais atakuwa na mamlaka kubwa ya kuchagua, na yeye pia atakuwa katika ile uchaguzi ile ingine. Ndipo nasema nakubaliana na yeye kwamba rais amesema hata mkileta nani mimi sina shida. Na ndipo kuunite nchi vile ulikuwa umesema, amekubali hawa waende watafute ile sheria ile itasaidia, isiwe yeye mwenyewe binafsi atakuwa analeta ile watu watamsaidia.
Yeye ni mchezaji na anataka referee wake.
Ndio. So hiyo ni part of unity ulikuwa unasema. Na amesema wamerudishiwa hiyo sheria katika bunge waweze kuangalia ni areas gani wanaweza kurekebisha, na pia wasikizane wajue namna gani itatumika kuchagua wale commissioners.
Kuna swali nitakuja kwako baadaye, lakini kwanza nirudi kwake wakili hapa ndani ya studio, alafu pia mbunge ataingilia, na kama kuna swali mnaona litakuwa limewakeketa maini, mko huru kuweza kuliingilia kati. Hivi majuzi kiongozi wa upinzani Raila Odinga alitoa matakwa kwa serikali ili waingie katika mazungumzo, na akatoa makataa ya wiki moja kwamba endapo haya yatafanyika basi tutarudi kufanya maandamano. Unafikiria kuna mapatano yatatokea kati ya upinzani na serikali?
Hawana budi kutokuwa na masikilizano, because it's not about them anymore. Kulingana na mimi ni kwamba they have to sit for the sake of the country. The country is way bigger than, kulingana na ile msemo ya Saitoti the late, kwamba there comes a time when the country is way bigger or more important than anyone else. So that is the kind of point I would want to imagine we are in, na kwamba wanafaa wakae wasikizane, waelewane kwa ajili ya uchumi ufanye vile. Hii maandamano inaleta adhara mingi, na serikali pia hii matches walikuwa wanajaribu kucheza ile mchezo ya Russian roulette kwamba who will blink first. Pia hao ndani ilikuwa inawauma kwamba unajua it's national shame when you are the president and people are rioting all over, and then one of the ile azimio yao moja ni kwamba wanataka kuingia state house wa kuondoe. Kila siku wanasema before the international media kwamba tutaingia pale uondoke au kushinda halali. So kidogo hata kama uko na hiyo ulipewa hiyo kiti kwa njia ya halali, unaanza kufeel, and then it's a you know the media ina portray zile picha zinakuwa portrayed unajua mtu uko pale nje anasema nyewe wa Kenya wameamua, hata ingawa wajui wa Kenya wengi wako nyumbani kuliko wale wako kwa njia. Kuna hiyo perception, creation of perception kwamba kuna shida Kenya, na hiyo ukiwa rais kidogo unaona unakosa ule mzizimko wa kukua kiongozi na kuamini kwamba you are leading towards the right direction. So kuna hiyo msukuma ambayo azimio ilikuwa inajua tukimsukuma pande hii lazima atabaji. And I think over time katika hiyo mvutano mwananchi ndiye anaumia, na kuna zile hata interest zenye tumeongelea mbeleni pia zikiangalia mambo zinaona mambo hayaendi vizuri kidogo, wanasema kaeni muongee. Because Kenya ni nchi ambayo inaheshimika. Kenya ikiweza kuanguka, Somalia ilishaanguka. Uganda kidogo inategemea Kenya, Uganda inaumia. Kenya mkikuwa na shida, Uganda ndio inaumia zaidi. Ukiangalia pale Ethiopia kuna bado mshike pale. Ukiangalia Southern Sudan bado. So the whole region Kenya ndio imekuwa epicenter ya kushikilia amani. So ukianza kukosa na amani Kenya, vitu mingi itaharibika.
Shikilia hapo. Namuona mheshimiwa anataka kuongezea kuhusiana na swala hili ambalo nimemuuliza nao mheshimiwa.
Ukiangalia katika yale matakwa azimio walikuwa wameandika kupeleka kwa rais ndio yatimizwe. Ile memorandum yao walikuwa wameongea mambo mengi. Kwanza walikuwa wameongea mambo ya ushindi. Wao ndio walishinda kulingana na whistleblower. Kwa hivyo rais aondoke Ikulu, Raila aingie. Namba ya pili ni bei ya chakula. Namba ya tatu bei ya mafuta. Namba ya 4 ni electoral justice. Hii tunasema mambo ya ABC. Kulikuwa na mambo kadhaa yenye walikuwa wameandika. Na rais akasema kulingana yeye ameangalia yale matakwa, na kama Mkenya mwenye anaishi Kenya, na uwezi is not about mwenye ako na haki na mwenye ako na haki, as in who is wrong and who is right. Hii jambo moja la ABC anaona linapaswa litengenezwe, ndio akairudisha. Kuna mambo mengi hakuguzia mambo ya ushindi, kwa sababu anajua alishinda kama rais na hawezi ondolewa. Kwa hivyo hiyo let's and goes on. Pia unakumbuka rais mbeleni alikuwa analeta memo kwa mbunge patengenezwe ofisi ya mkuu wa upinzani na naibu wake nini. Sasa haya ndio mambo pia hii timu ya Azimio yamesukumia. Sasa uelewi wakati rais ameleta kutengeneza ofisi ya mkuu wa upinzani na iwekwe kisheria na ipewe fedha serikali ndio waweze kuwa anaangalia serikali vizuri, na wakasema they are not interested. Lakini saa hii katika mambo yenye wameweka kwa mesa kwa katika ile bipartisan team ni mmoja wapo ni hiyo ofisi ya mkuu wa upinzani. Sasa unashangaa kama mlikuwa nataka ofisi ya mkuu wa upinzani na rais alikuwa ameilete mbungeni, mbona mkaenda ndio sasa muilete? Kwani lazima iletwe na nani ndio ikuwe mzuri? Kuletwa si ni kuletwa tu, ifike kwa mbunge, ijadiliwe, ipitishwe. Na sisi kama Kenya Kwanza, ile jambo rais alikuwa amesema, alikuwa ametuita akatuongelesha umuhimu ya hii kulingana na demokrasia ya William Ruto. Yeye amwangi kitu kama rais huko Ikulu na anaotumia kama wabunge. Kwanza anaita ile party MPs na senators parliamentary group, ana lobby, anaongea wazee tulichaguliwa pamoja. Kulingana na mimi naona hii kitu ikienda hivi, hii iende hivi, hii iende hivi, tupange tinga hivi na mimi nijipange hivi, hii nchi itakuwa mzuri. Kwa hivyo na kwa sababu mimi si mbunge, nyinyi ndio mko mbungeni, naenda msaidie ndio nchi isonge. So sisi tukaichukulia na umuhimu, tutafanya. Na ikija tutafanya kwa sababu rais alikuwa ameiona kwa wasia wake, kwa wisdom yake, na akaleta tuifanye. Jambo lenye nataka kugusia ni ile swali umeuliza wa wakili hapa.
Labda kabla hujaligusa, wacha tumpatie na yeye mwananchi nafasi aweze kusema na nyinyi viongozi wake. Msikilizaji, kumbuka vile vile pia upande wa pili mwenzangu Dora Manya, endapo unalipata, wape nafasi wasikilizaji na wao wazungumze na Charles Owino, wazungumze na wakili Gisore, na vile vile pia wazungumze na mheshimiwa Nimrod Mbai.
Safi, msikilizaji, hakikisha kwa laini ya simu sekunde ni 30 tu. Radio Taifa. Samahani, Radio Taifa.
Jambo ndugu zangu.
Si jambo baba Zainab.
Omar baba Zainab kutoka Lesotho na Dikaondi.
Swali lako?
Niko na maswali matatu. Swali la kwanza na la pili ningependa kuuliza mbunge wetu mheshimiwa. Kwa nini kuchaguliwa kwa hii IEBC isiwe Judicial Service Commission ama Public Service Commission? Alafu ningependa kuuliza sisi, mbona watoto wetu wa university wachapata elimu? Alafu ningependa kuuliza bwana Owino, polisi wanapokuwa katika ile maandamano, nani huwa anawapa ulinzi?
Asante sana. Radio Taifa.
Yombo mtoto wa Kiafrika.
Haraka sana Manifestes.
Manifestes mwana wa Rea, nikiwa katikati ya jiji la Nairobi. Mimi nimesikia vile wamesema maandamano yako kwa katiba. Na mimi nauliza, je, vitu kuharibiwa au wenye wameharibiwa mali yao watalipwa na nani?
Haya, ya mwisho hapa Radio Taifa.
Ramanya.
Yes.
Ulimwengu kamana kutoka hitu. Sasa mimi nasema hivi, ama nauliza hivi. Tuko na ile mambo manne alikuwa anaweka ambapo ilikuwa katika maandamano. Kitu ya kwanza ni unga. Unga aliweka sana, unga iko juu. Lakini wakati ule alikuwa katika serikalini, unga ulikuwa juu na hakufanya maandamano. Sasa hivi usipitani kimemuhimisha aendelee na maandamano na hii hali unga aliwataka ukiwa juu.
Rashid Mwamkondo.
Asante sana mwenzangu Dora Manya. Nadhani kwamba wageni mmepata maswali, labda tukianza na mheshimiwa hapa. Kuna swali umeulizwa kutoka nani?
Kuna mzee ameuliza mambo ya ABC. Hii namna ya wajua ile kitu wananchi wanapaswa waelewe, chenye kinachaguliwa kwanza ni kamati yenye taenda kuchagua wajumbe wa IBC. Si atuchagui wajumbe wa IBC, tunachagua kamati yenye taenda kuwachagua. Na ndio ilikuwa imesemekana ile inaitwa Parliamentary Public Service Commission itoe commissioner mmoja, Parliamentary Service Commission itoe commissioner mmoja, Judicial Service Commission itoe commissioner moja, Law Society watoe commissioner moja, Human Rights watoe commissioner moja. Na hao makomishona sasa wakae chini na muungano wa makanisa. Sasa hiyo kamati wakitoa moja, hiyo ndio kamati yenye itakuwa na uwezo wa kuadvertise watu wa apply viti ya chairman wa IBC na makomishona wa IBC, ndo wapige interview, ndo wachague watu. Na hiyo ndio tulipitisha kama mbunge, na ndio upande wa Azimio umekataa, wakasema ikiangaliwa ndani kabisa ni kama inaengemea rais ako na uwezo wa kuchagua hao wajumbe wote wenye hii kamati, so mpaka ifunguliwe tena paweko watu wengine ambao rais hana uwezo wa kuchagua. Na rais akakubali, akasema kama hiyo ndio mnaona iko na shida, na kawaida ya uchaguzi ni mpaka ionekane iko huru, ndio huyu uchaguzi ionekane iko huru, wacha mimi nirudishe hii nyuma kwa mbunge tena, wairekebishe ile bipartisan, kukae wa mbunge wa Azimio, kukae wa mbunge wa Kenya Kwanza, wachague kamati yenye ama watoe muongozo wa kuchagua kamati yenye itachagua makomishona wa IBC, ndio kila mtu atosheke.
Asante, shikilia
hapo ndio tumefikia. Swali lingine ameuliza ni pesa ya HELB, ile Higher Education Laws Board, the same mzee. Fedha imewachiliwa na wananchi, vijana, watoto wa university, colleges, technical institutions wanaendelea kuapply na fedha iko saa hizi tukiongea.
Okay. Bwana Owino, kuna swali lielekezwa kwako.
Yes.
Anasema kwamba ni kitu ambacho pia sisi tumekishuhudia kwamba polisi analinda. Je, na yeye analindwa na nani wakati kama huu wa maandamano?
Kitu ya kwanza, polisi wanalindwa na raia. Kwa sababu polisi wanatoka kwa raia, polisi wanalipwa na kodi kutoka kwa raia, na ni jukumu yako ukiwa pahali, kwa sababu hata raia ni wengi kushinda polisi. Ukiona mtu anataka kuumiza polisi, mtetezi mkuu wa polisi inastahili iwe ni raia, kwa sababu hata askari ile tunaweka nyumbani kama mbwa zetu, lazima ulishe yako, si ni kweli? Na upatie training. So polisi pia wanajilinda, ni kwa sababu napewa bunduki. Ikiwa kuna taruki na ikiwa maisha yako iko hatarini ama ya mtu mwingine, basi nastahili utumie bunduki yako. Lakini kwa sababu ya siasa, umeona ile kesi ya Kisumu, officer ameuawa akiwa analinda supermarket na wakapora supermarket. Huyo officer angetumia bunduki yake kujilinda na angekuwa hai, saizi ungeona watu wamepiga kelele, ma human rights manini, hata pengine angekuwa amepelekwa kotini tayari. Lakini afadhali upelekwe kotini badala ya kupoteza maisha yako, kwa sababu kotini utarudi, utalinda watoto yako. Kama ni haki, tutaeleza maafisa wa polisi, ukiona maisha yako iko hatarini, usiogope kwenda kotini. Ujilinde maisha yako kwanza, ndio ulinde maisha ya watu wengine, kwa sababu unaona, kwa sababu aliumizwa, ikapeana nafasi kwa wale watu kupora hiyo supermarket. So sisi tunasema kwamba kuna zile justifiable circumstances, na vile polisi wamepewa bunduki lazima wajilinde, lakini kuna ile restraint wanajaribu, kwa sababu ile kitu opposition wanataka zaidi ni kwamba polisi waue watu, alafu baadaye wakuwe na field day, kitu ya kuzungumzia kwa mwaka hii, mwaka ujao, mwaka ingine, kwamba polisi wameua watu. Lakini lazima tujue kazi ya polisi ni kulinda wananchi wote na kulinda kila mtu. So wananchi pia wako na haki ya kulinda polisi yao.
Nikirudi kwako Bwana Gesore, kabla tumalizia, naona mwelekezo wangu ananipeleka mbio kama baskili ya kuibiwa. Kuna mmoja kauliza, wenye mali ambao mali zao zinaharibiwa watalipwa na nani kisheria? Kwa sababu jana tuliona kwamba DPP Bwana Nuruddin Haji ameondolea mashtaka wale wabunge na zaidi ya watu 200 ambao walishiriki kwenye maandamano. Je, hawa ambao mali zao ziliharibiwa,
hao ambao mali zao zimeharibiwa, it's the responsibility of the state to ensure kwamba mali ya kila mtu imechungwa. Ndio maana alisema polisi wanalindwa na wananchi. Wananchi anatoa kodi, nalipa polisi. Mwananchi anafanya nini? Kununua uniform, kununua viatu, kununua bunduki, kununua kila kitu ili waweze kuhifadhi ile mali ya wananchi. So ikiwa mali yako imeharibiwa katika demonstration, na hiyo demonstration ilikuwa allowed na serikali, ama walikuwa na exercise their constitutional right ya kuandamana, ambapo kukawa kumekuwa na mfurugo na polisi walikuwa pale, so unaweza weka kesi uweze kufuatilia mali yako uweze kulipwa. Unaweza, you can sue the state. Hiyo kitu wa Kenya wajajua sana. You have a right to sue the state kufuata mali yako. Ningependa kujibu ile
kwa haraka na muda wetu hauna asi.
Mheshimiwa amesema kwamba of course ni vibaya kuwa polisi, na hiyo si polisi akiwa kama ako na ile position ambayo kidogo anaenda kuona kulose maisha yake, ili atumie hiyo bunduki kujisaidia ili asije akaaga kwa vyovyote vile, ili aweze kusave. But kuna pia pande zingine ambapo tumeona polisi pia wakishoot. Kuna ile issue ya Maseno University student pia aliweza kupigwa risasi. Alikuwa na situation pale ambayo ilikuwa inahitaji kupiga.
Maseno University pengine hajui ile ilitendeka. Walipora supermarket mzima ya Maseno University, na wengine walienda katika police station kuvamia police station. So wakili, mimi naomba hivi tuwe na discipline, kwa sababu wacha niseme tu kweli, impunity ni kitu mbaya. Ikifika kiwango watu watakuwa na impunity, kwanza kuumiza askari, alafu wakiumizwa wanaanza kuleta siasa, basi hatutakuwa na nchi.
Bwana Charles,
lazima tuheshimu askari.
Waacha tuliachia hapo, nitatayarisha kipindi kingine chako na wakili tuweze kuja kuzungumzia haki na sheria.
Lazima tuongelee mambo ya polisi.
Bila shaka.
Na lazima polisi wawe na discipline.
Alright, sasa tutapanga siku nyingine tuweze kuja kulizungumza.
Ni mzuri ukweli uende nje. Unajua tungewachia wakili aongee na afande wino asiseme ile wakili amesema ndio ingeenda kwa wananchi. So ni mzuri vile afande wino amesema ndio ukweli kaenda nje.
Kwa sababu askari ndio wanachunga raia wote.
Asanteni.
Pia polisi pia ndio wamekosa tuseme.
Asanteni mtazamaji, hapa naona ndo kambe tunataka kuanza na kumbe ndo kipindi kimeisha, lakini bado mwelekezi wangu tafadhali bwana Geoffrey Onditi na Ben Kamuti, naomba munipangie hawa wageni tena tuje tuanzie mahali tulipoanzia, kwa sababu nimewakatiza, kumradhi, kwa sababu kuna hafla ya rais inafaa kuonyeshwa moja kwa moja kupitia runinga yetu. Mtazamaji, ni kwamba Mheshimiwa Rais leo atakuwa pale Kenya, atakuwa pale Kenya School of Government Law Kabete, ambapo atakuwa anafungua ile Kenya Social Protection Conference. Kwa hiyo mtazamaji, tutakuwa tunakupeleka kule katika muda usoko mrefu, na labda tu niwashukuru mheshimiwa ambaye kwa kuja ndani ya studio. Asante sana ndugu Gibson Gisore, na asante sana bwana Charles Owino kwa kutenga muda wako kwa nasi hapa. Mtazamaji, siwezi maliza kipindi hiki kabla kuweza kuwashukuru wale wote ambao wamefanikisha kipindi hiki. Nitakaporudi upande wa pili tutakuwa tuungana naye mwenzangu Ram Aguka akiwa na bwana George Chege ambaye ni founder na CEO Finca Properties, wakizungumzia kuhusu masuala ya savings na investments kwenye kipindi Good Morning Kenya. Lakini shukran za dhati kwa wote waliofanikisha kipindi hiki, kuanzia kaimu mkuu wa shirika, kaimu mkurugenzi mkuu wa shirika la utangazaji nchini bwana Samuel Maina, shukran sana. Mkuu wa idara ya redio katika shirika la utangazaji nchini Bi Mary Daraja, shukran sana. Bwana Martin Kingasi upande wa content, asante sana. Waelekezi wangu wakuu Lucy Wahome mzalishaji wa kipindi, bila kumsahau Geoffrey Ondonga, na vile vile pia shukran sana wapiga picha wangu bwana Vincent Kiaka, na muona vile vile Paul Odor, Stay Wanjiru, asanteni sana. Na ule idara vile vile pia redio, asanteni sana Miles Gishimu, Priska, Francis Kimani na Esther Ndunge. Kwa niaba ya mwenzangu upande wa pili Dora Manya, mimi naitwa Rashid Momkondo na kuregesha upande wa pili wa runinga Channel 1 Ram Aguke, ndapo unanipata bwana Harus, take it over.
It is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns to the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person you cannot give the ball to, it's the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45 p.m.
Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning.
Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
So from then on I felt I wasn't the Jenny Lee that you remembered any longer. I didn't dare tell you the truth because I thought I wasn't good enough for you. I thought I wasn't good enough, so I asked Charlene to replace me.
Where's Jenny? Are you feeling upset after confessing? To Harvey?
You were a silly, clumsy young girl. But over time, you drew me in. And I couldn't help but be near you. Regardless of looks, your position, or any other factors.
I screwed up. Let me get drunk. I was dumped! Ruthlessly dumped by Harvey.
We were about to get married! How could she have left with that
Leave
peasant?
me alone with her. Just leave us alone.
No, Mr. Oligario. I have the right to clear this up. I'm with her.
I asked you a question, Zenaida. Where is my daughter?
I won't have a relationship with someone who's a backstabber, no matter if he's the manager.
This wedding of yours is the only thing that can save us from losing all that we have. Amparo is the perfect wife for you.
My soul is very sick, Father. It's on fire.
Can you tell me what's going on?
It was Fabiola, and now Amparo is doing this to you.
I've told you, I don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Get out of my office. Go to the pool or buy your rags.
Kitot FM Gigosin, Kitot FM Gigosin, 98.0 Kitot FM Gigosin.
Welcome back. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for choosing KBC. Thank you for being part of this conversation. We proceed with our morning program right here. My name is Ram Aguko. We continue with today's programming. And as I mentioned earlier when we started, it's all about matters concerning investments and saving in the real estate industry. What are the do's and don'ts of this particular sector? Do you need much money? And how much do you need to invest in this particular area? Well, today, let's talk about this particular issue here concerning investments and savings in the real estate sector. With me, I am with Dr. George Paul Chege. He is the CEO of the Trinity Group of Companies. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
How are you feeling, my brother?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yes.
And of course, the first question I want to ask you is, is anyone too young or too old to invest? Can somebody be too young or too old to invest?
Age is not a limitation in terms of investment. Because when you look at people who have invested in the past, people begin investing even from the age of 18. It's only that in Kenya we start when it's too late to invest. Yeah.
All right. But now, how do you quantify that from this time it's too late to invest?
I don't think there is any age which is too late to invest. But of course, it is very wise to start early, because when you're talking about investment, you're talking about creating wealth.
Yes.
And of course, you don't realize wealth in one day. It's something that you do continually. So, and the more you do it, the more you come to realize at least whatever I invested some years back is bringing investment on return on the investment. Yeah.
And for many, we have this scenario of where you have too much time, there is no money, and where there is a lot of money, there is little time. Of course, that is the irony of life. For somebody who is as young as 18, you've mentioned, the question will arise, how much money do I need for me to invest? Is there a particular level of income that somebody can have for them to state that they are ready for investments?
Number one, what you need to know is that investment is a sacrifice. And there's no day you'll have enough amount of money to invest.
I love that.
As long as you want to invest, because it has to come within you. It's a spirit that rises within you, and you sacrifice.
From whichever salary you get?
Yes. You can be getting 10,000, but out of the 10,000, you just decide, even if I'm going to lack some basic items in my house, let me just invest these 1,000. And it is a spirit that drives people. Because there's no day any person will have enough money, because even the richest people, they are still looking for money. So that tells you there's not enough money.
So if somebody says, I don't think I'm earning enough, I can't invest, I'll invest later when I earn this particular amount, they're lying to themselves.
They are lying to themselves. Investment is a spirit that you need to start from when you're earning very little until when you're earning much. And you'll never earn much until you know how to use the little that you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
You must be trusted with the little for you to be trusted with the much.
And if, you see, of course, when you talk about being trusted, you need to trust yourself with the little. To know that the basic, as long as you're able to meet the basic needs, the remaining amount can go to investment. Because anybody who is up there, they began from somewhere.
Okay.
And you see the fear of the young generation is because they don't want to start somewhere. But if today you decide, let me just start where I am, one day you'll just look back and say, I thank God I began where I was. Yeah.
Now, just generally, before we get into the nitty-gritties of the conversation, some of the tips for the Kenyan youth concerning savings and investments. Let's start with investments first. Tips for investments for the Kenyan youth.
First of all, the Kenyan youth, of course we have those people, the Kenyan youth who they do very good work, but most of them, they are just loitering in the streets. And it doesn't mean that, because of course we can blame the government and say we don't have work, but I can tell you this, we have a lot of activities which these people can be doing. For example, I spoke with a group of youth back in Kitengela, and I was telling them, it's not the time we say that we don't have something that we can do. We can go to the street, we sell whatever is sellable, even if it's eggs, and just make money. And once you make that money, you make sure you don't just use that money, all of it, you just make sure you utilize investment part of that amount. So the Kenyan youth need to understand that you don't need to be rich for you to begin investing. You need only to be earning something, and if you're not earning something, just think widely and make sure that you begin doing something at least to generate some income. And once you generate some income, make sure you invest the little as you can.
And what about saving? Tips for saving for Kenyan youth?
Of course, when you talk about saving, most of the people, of course, you may save for 2-3 days, and maybe the third day a problem comes and you're out there taking all your savings, and using the same. So what I encourage the youth, at least if you can buy something which has value, to just keep your money in something. For example, you can think of buying a property or something that you can think, if I need money tomorrow, I can be able to sell this item.
So buying a property is a form of saving, or is it investment?
It's both saving and investment.
Okay.
And plus, when you talk about saving, of course, some saving they don't earn an interest, or whatever you save by tomorrow you find the same. But when you're talking about in buying property, you're talking about today invest 100,000 and next year you get 200.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's quite interesting, Daktari, and we will be coming back to that in a bit. But ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching us from, let's head over to Diani. And of course, we are joined by our reporter, Wairimu Njenga, where we have an ICT summit that was kicked off yesterday. ICT leaders are already in attendance, including the president, together with many of the stakeholders in ICT. Concerning this summit, let's head over to Diani concerning the updates. Remember, today is day 2. Wairimu.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning. It's a cold morning right here in Diani, but still we are at Connected Summit Kenya right here in Diani in Kwale County, and it kicked off yesterday, and the conversation has been tilted on digital economy, endless opportunities are shaping our future, and that has been the dialogue between government as well as the private sector yesterday when they converged in various areas on digitization of various things that are going on in the country. Digital transformation as well as digitization of government services has been the topic of conversation right here in Diani County, and in Diani in Kwale County. But today we'll be speaking on women in technology, as well as later on we'll be talking about the digital skills and how we can bring the young people into this digital era that is taking over the global space. Now, today we'll be speaking now to the country director of country's digitization acceleration program at Cisco. His name is Clayton Nildo, to talk to us about what they're doing at Cisco to ensure that they are playing a part in the digitization of various government services as well as the private sector. Thank you for joining us. Maybe we can kick off from where you were among the main speakers yesterday, and you talked on the digital divide, you talked of digital skills as well as the country's digital acceleration program. I'd like us to just tell us what were your take-homes yesterday.
Fantastic. So firstly, thank you so much for the opportunity. We at Cisco, we're excited to participate in Connect 2023. We had robust discussions on day one. It was a powerful day one. We had rich dialogue with the Cabinet Secretary, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and the 3 takeaways that really resonated with us at Cisco, that aligned with the principles that was outlined by the Prime Secretary, was one of growth. The second was really focused on sustainability, and the third one was really on equity. And when we talk about these 3 principles, it's really aligned with what Cisco does in the country of Kenya and what we focused on. We are investing into Kenya through a program that we have at Cisco called Country Digital Acceleration. It is a flagship program that we have implemented across the world. We have implemented in 50 countries. We have 1,500 projects that we're executing on, anything from digitizing national government infrastructure to skills development. The one specific one that I call out is this topic of equity that's aligned to the Prime Cabinet Secretary. We want to ensure that we focus on what we describe as our moral obligation to ensure that we provide the right level of connectivity, to ensure that we're bridging the digital divide, making sure everybody has equal access, but at the same time providing the right level of skills development to ensure that everybody has equal potential and economic opportunity.
Yes, the Prime Cabinet Secretary did mention about public-private partnership, which is key in driving digital transformation in the country, as well as implementing the digital master plan. I'd like to know what your role in these 2 key areas that the government is focusing on.
Fantastic. We unpacked the digital master plan. I think it was a robust framework with very, very the key themes that we are focusing on. We have recently signed an MOU with the Kenya ICT Authority that speaks to the National Digital Master Plan. We are investing in against those MOUs. So what we're essentially doing is, through our Country Digital Acceleration Program, we're taking themes that's aligned to the Master Digital Plan, and we're investing in architecture and pilot programs to prove to the government and prove to the Prime Cabinet Secretary that investing in the digitization, working with Cisco, can actually accelerate and move the country forward.
What of the fiber optic cable? I know yesterday the government did say that they are laying their part of, which is 48,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable across the country, and the private sector also is doing the same, about 48,000 of kilometers of fiber optic cable. Are you planning to also be part of this fiber optic cable, laying of this cable?
So as Cisco, the technology we provide, working with our service provider organizations, which essentially our technology ecosystem partners as well as our customers in some instances, we play a role through a consortium in providing the technology to connect that fiber, right? So our role as Cisco is not directly laying the fiber itself, but definitely we're the power behind the fiber to provide the infrastructure that connects the fiber together. So we definitely plugged into the consortium. We're looking to have further engagement against the ambitious plan that's set out in the National Digital Plan. We believe that it's an important project because if you lay out fiber, and we had discussions with various counties where they're offering service providers to lay out fiber without any barriers to entry, we believe in that particular strategy because it provides equal access aligned to the Prime Secretary's vision of equity.
Well, yesterday the conversation in the afternoon was all about how counties can be part of this digital transformation agenda. In your own opinion, maybe you can share with us what counties can do to ensure that we reach the era of having a digitally enabled workforce.
Absolutely. I think this is relevant for all Africa, and especially because it's so geographically spread out. The first thing counties can do is come to realization that actually potential starts with your own community. And with the power of technology, we have realized that potential can be equal. What we need the counties to do is provide the economic opportunity. So one of the strategies we're working on through our flagship program, like our Networking Academy, as well as our investments through Country Digital Acceleration, we're looking to invest in incubation acceleration hubs, even at a county level. So essentially what we're doing is we're bringing the power of Cisco into the counties. We want the counties to provide opportunities to small businesses that can grow their business, provide solutions that can actually serve the local counties, right? And also compete at global stage. So what we want to do is we want to bring the opportunity at the county level, right? Because the technology enables you to do that.
As we come to a close, maybe you can talk a little bit about the country's digital acceleration. I know you're the senior director there. I'd like to know what the plan is and how far are you, and what is a program of how many years?
It's essentially a program that we believe will accelerate digitization and contribute positively towards economic growth. The Country Digital Acceleration Program essentially takes the national digital agenda of a country. Essentially, it is a well-written document. But in simple terms, we want to take it out of the cupboard and move it into action, move it into deliverables, work with the various government institutes to put together robust plans. In this instance, we partner with the Kenya ICT Authority, and we're hoping to partner with many more government institutes. But what does it mean to put it into plan? We actually invest to ensure that pillars outlined in the National Digital Agenda or the Master Digital Plan can come to light by investing in solutions and architecture. We bring Cisco's technology, we bring our partner ecosystem, we complete the design, and we go into proof of concept, and we pick certain sites to ensure that the project actually works. And our intention is for governments to play it forward. And this is where governments can enter into either PPPs or in other investment consortiums to ensure that they take the solution that has just proven that it works and play it forward and deliver the impact.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Well, that has been Clayton, of Senior Director, Country's Digital Digitization Acceleration Program, and here at Cisco, talking to us on some of the various programs they are working on with the government, and also a partnership with the ICT Authority, and how they're going to implement some of these programs. Today's conversation is all about women in tech, that we'll be bringing you later on, right here at KBC, right here at Connected Kenya Summit, Indiani, Kwale County. Back to you in studio.
Thank you so much. That is Warimu Njanga, all the way from Diani. Remember, that is the Connected Summit 2023 that started yesterday. Remember yesterday, the ICT CS Eliud Owalo said that the government is planning on spending 500 billion Kenya shillings on implementing the 10-year ICT master plan. And today is day 2 of that particular summit, where we will be talking about women in technology. You sure do want to stick around for that particular coverage, courtesy of KBC Channel 1. We have you covered. And of course, taking a look at my clock there, it is now 29 minutes past 9. We just want to take a short break in a bit. But remember, if you want to engage with us on that particular summit, the hashtag is Connected Summit 2023. The hashtag is Connected Summit 2023 for that particular live coverage that we shall be going to in a bit. But we still continue with Good Morning Kenya. We have a conversation right here in studio that shall be coming up after this particular break. Let's take the break and then we'll be back on savings and investment.
You're seeing your potential. Unafanya kazi nzuri sana.
Na tukilinganisha na zile recommendations ambazo tulipewa na Inspector Torome, we believe this is the right pitch for you.
Hey! Unataka nini wewe? Unaniuliza. Unataka nini? Unaniuliza. Unataka nini mutaki?
Governor, there are rumors that you have another family.
Rumors that I have another family. Well, this is my family, and I think it's one.
What do you think?
It is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns to the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person you cannot give the ball to, it's the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45 p.m.
Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning.
Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
All right, with now 27 minutes to the top of the hour, we proceed with this conversation. Still, this is Good Morning Kenya. It's all about investments and saving, and in particular, real estate is what we want to talk about now. Thank you for choosing to stay with us. My name is Ram Aguko. It's a pleasure being with you. Of course, I am with Dr. George Chege, the CEO of the Trinity Companies, still with me here in studio. Thank you so much for being and finding time to be with us, Dr. Let's head over to matters concerning real estate, and I want to look at some of the nitty-gritties in this particular sector, because I am well aware that this is where your expertise lies.
Yes.
All right. Now, for somebody who wants to get into this particular sector or this particular investment, what are some of the do's and don'ts of investments in real estate?
Let me begin by saying that a lot of Kenyans have been scammed by so many companies. But when you look at it, it's because we as Kenyans, we don't want to do due diligence.
Yeah.
So we just see, just because a company is advertising, just want to just put our money there, hoping that everything will be well. But it is very important for somebody, before you buy, to do your own due diligence. And when you talk about due diligence, it means you need to conduct a search on that property in land offices.
Yeah.
You need to get a surveyor to confirm where the property is located.
Provided by
land surveyor. And most of the people, we go and buy property without even involving a land surveyor, because we think just because somebody told you this is where the property is positioned, you can be able just to buy. But sometimes you find somebody can be selling land here and maybe it's not positioned there, yet you paid for the amount that for that area. So my advice to all Kenyans is that we should, at every time before buying land, make sure we involve the professionals in that field. Because we get scammed, first of all, because of trusting very fast. We trust, because Kenyan, they trust very fast, and that is the nature. But in matter of properties and real estate, you don't need to trust. You need just to do your own search and due diligence. Because in case you have been scammed, having done all the necessary due diligence, you are at liberty to sue the government, because all the land matters, they come from the government. So if today I did my due diligence before buying, and then after a certain time I understand that I was scammed, so I'm at liberty to go and sue the government for my money.
So do due diligence.
Yes.
That's a do. You must do that.
You must.
A don't in this particular sector. Don't do what?
Don't
this sector.
Don't pay your money before you see the title deeds.
Good point there.
Yeah, because most of the Kenyans, we go and deposit our money to companies, yet you have never seen even the land documents.
But now sometimes they say that the title deed will be processed after payment.
But you need to see the mother title, if the mother title is reading the company's name. But most of the people who have been scammed, they just listen to stories and they believe and they invest. So you cannot blame anybody, because it is your own decision. But the moment you see the title deeds, and one thing you need to understand: don't invest before you see the title deeds. If a company is selling land, what will it cost the company to go and process the individual title deeds of that specific property, so that when you're buying, you can exchange money and the document, having done the due diligence before.
Yeah.
So, but you see, most of us, we are. I don't know if is laziness, kind of, because due diligence will not cost you much in comparing to whatever you are investing.
But of course, there's some fee that you must pay.
But which is very minimal. Today, land searches are free, countrywide. You just walk into any land registry and you do your search. So you don't need to pay anything. But you see, still Kenyans are being scammed. They don't want to go that mile of going to get a search.
Yeah. And let me get it from you, Daktari.
Yes.
We have the issue of the allotment letters.
Yeah.
Still very gray area for some.
Yeah.
And they say that the title deed is in a particular area owned by a particular person. As for you get the allotment letters, what are some of the red flags when it comes to allotment letters, and how can you know that you're doing the right thing or investing in the right property?
When it comes to allotment letter means that is a letter given either by the government of Kenya or the county government for you to wait for a certain period to be able to process a lease title. So, and when you're talking about allotment letters, of course, so many people have been scammed in regard to allotment letters, because somebody can just make their own allotment letters.
Yes.
But there is a way you can verify. Still
so
the
you can
same.
verify the allotment letter.
You just go to the land registry. It is verifiable. You just verify who was the person who was given this allotment. Of course, we have found some cases where there is maybe some land officers are colluding with the people. But you see, as long as you did your part, I'm telling Kenyans, you can be able to sue the government if you verified it and you got the original document for such, because whatever gave you the confidence to invest is whatever came from the land offices. So in that case, you can be able to go to a court of law and get your justice.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I love that, because these areas are so grey for many Kenyans.
Yes.
And we end up getting caught. And by the time you realize it, it's been a long time, and somebody has already come and plowed on your land.
Yes.
Or even, now, I want us to look at those who are in the diaspora.
Yes.
What is it that they need to know before investing in Kenyan real estate, for those in the diaspora?
Those in diaspora, of course, most of them, they invest without even coming to see where the properties are.
Yes.
Of course, within Nairobi County, we have all the land matters digitized, so they can be able to check online. You just need to open an account with Adisasa and check. But in other areas like the district registries, you need, at least you can get a lawyer or a land surveyor to do the work for you.
Yeah.
And it will not cost you much before you put your money in there. So because I've found so many cases from the people in diaspora saying that we invested and we were conned. Even some of them, they get scammed by their own relatives. And what I can say, make sure don't, what I advise most of them is that if you think and if you know your relatives are not trustworthy, engage a lawyer.
But sometimes you may not know. You believe in them, you love your relatives, you trust in them, only for you to realize that you've been paying money for some land that doesn't exist, or for the construction of a building that doesn't exist. You come back into the country, you find your building is in the river.
But you see what I can say? The technology nowadays, you don't, of course, when you tell me go do for your search,
yes,
I can share the same search with you. WhatsApp. You can send to two different people without the other knowing that you sent the other one, so that you can be sure. And when it comes to investing, of course, there is no cheap land anywhere. Even if it costs 40,000, still that is money. So you need to do what the important things before investing that money. Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at real estate investment that requires a lot of expertise, especially for successful investment ventures. You've been in this field for quite some time now, Daktari, and I'm looking at some of those stories that you've encountered, along the way. Give us just but a few that maybe we can learn from when it comes to saving and investments. What are some of those stories that you've come across that stood out for you, either success stories or stories of failure?
Number one, I'll just begin with a story of failure. One time somebody walked into my office and he wanted to purchase a plot, a quarter of an acre plot, to do a residential home.
Yeah.
And he told me, get me a surveyor. I want a surveyor to do a ground location of this property. And I got him a surveyor who charged him, I think, about 20K by then. It's about 5 years back. And the guy said that the 20,000 is so much, yet he is buying the property about 4 million Kenya shillings. So he went ahead, bought the property, he built a maisonette within the place where he was showed. After like...
And yeah, we are talking about somebody who hasn't done the land search.
He has done even the search.
He has done the search.
But he has not done the ground location to ascertain where the property sits on.
He has not gone to see it physically.
He has been shown physically by the seller. But you see, even if you are shown, it doesn't mean that to engage a land surveyor to ascertain, is this the correct position of this property? So the guy never engaged a surveyor. So he went and built a maisonette. 3 years later, somebody came and said, you have built on my land. And by the time they checked the document, the guy had built on somebody else's land. So you remove the house or you buy. And you see, some of those things are things which can be avoided.
But of course, the landowner won't buy that piece of the maisonette.
Of course he can't buy.
It's on his own land.
Of course you are wrong. You came and built in my house or in my land. So who is wrong? It is you who built in somebody else's land. So you either move your house or you be at the mercy of the owner of the land.
Wow.
So a success story, which I can tell you.
Wow.
We have seen so many people invest in real estate. And particularly because there is a way you know which area, and of course, from the government you can understand, for example, which roads will be made maybe in the next 5 years. And as much as a road will pass through a certain place, as long as a public institution will be set up in a certain place, like a school, a university or something, those are the areas where Kenyans, you need to go and invest. Because, of course, we don't need to invest blindly. We need to invest knowing that the amount that I'm investing in a certain area, after 2 or 3 years, it will have doubled, or I'll have made more. Because there are some areas, of course, you can buy and you can invest in real estate, but you don't get the profit out of it. Of course, every other place you buy land, it will always appreciate. But we check where the rate of appreciation is higher more than other places.
So we have in the real estate sector areas where investments have higher chances of making profits than others.
Yes.
All right.
For example, when you talk, of course, you showed us about this summit which is going on in Diani. And when I look at it, yesterday I saw Konza City was part of that summit.
Yes, it is.
And you see, when you talk about Konza City, where they are setting up there, we are talking about government investing billions of shillings there.
And we're looking at a technopolis here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So which will affect whoever is within the neighborhood. He will be affected. It can be maybe in the next 2 years or the next 10 years. But what to expect within the area, that properties will hike in terms of prices. So don't just invest knowing that I've bought land. If you're an investor in land, invest knowing that I'm investing in this place because something will come up in future.
So buying land to keep it over a period of time, a deed that many Kenyans are doing currently, all right? It's called land banking.
Yeah, land banking.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that something that, are we seeing ourselves going to that direction? Is that a safe area of investment?
It's a very safe area where you follow the required steps. And as much as it's a very safe area to do that, don't just buy because people are telling you to buy. Do your own research just a general research, and know within this area what will come up in future. If the government has earmarked that place for something in future, you can be sure that your investment you'll get more return.
It's possible for you to take note of that. Is it possible for you to realize that actually this area has been earmarked? Because the common Wanajiko may want to know, how can I know that this area has potential?
Nowadays we are in a digital era.
Yes.
So which means you can, of course, I know there are some people who don't know how to go online and get maybe some results.
Yeah.
But you can get somebody who can make a research for you. Because I can give you an example. My grandfather used to work here in Nairobi. And one time there used to be these rumors that there will be the bypass from Cabanas all the way to Roiro. And people rushed over that side buying properties. A plot would cost maybe about 60,000, 45,000. And that was when Moi used to be the president. When Kibaki now came in, Kibaki now made the thing to become true. And everybody who had bought, like, for example, 60,000, 80,000 properties there, the day when the bypass was opened, they came from maybe 400,000 to over 3 million, just because something is being realized within the area.
Exactly.
So don't just invest blindly. Just do your own research. Make sure that you know what will be coming over that area.
I'm looking at those who want to save in order for them to buy or build a house.
Yeah.
Very important area that Kenyans are looking at here. Some research was done, and it was indicating that many Kenyans below the age of 45 do not own nor buy, neither own nor buy a house, and don't have the ability to be able to build a house. What are your thoughts in regards to this particular area? Is it possible for somebody watching us today to save in order for them to build or buy a house?
It is possible.
Yeah.
But you see, it all depends with where you want to buy a house. Because I've interacted with a number of people, and of course, when you're working in Nairobi, you just want to buy a house within Nairobi. But most of the people may not afford it. So what I can say is this: nowadays we have companies all over doing low-cost housing. So the thing that you're supposed to just ask yourself, can I be able to afford that low-cost housing?
Okay.
And of course, before you buy those low-cost housing, ensure that it has all the documents. And what I always advise Kenyans is that if you can be able to use if you don't have like that money in cash to buy, or you cannot be able to utilize maybe paying within 90 days, which is allowed by the law, you can approach a bank, and a lawyer will help you to do the due diligence to make sure the documents are in order, and you can be paying as a mortgage, just a little amount at a time.
All right. Question concerning that particular area. Just from where you sit.
Yes.
Do I build a house? Do I buy a house? Which is a better option for me? Should I build or buy?
Both ways are good, but of course there's somebody who wants a specific plan.
Yes.
I want a house which is like this. For those people, I tell them just buy, just build. For somebody who doesn't have a specific idea of what you want, you can just move around and look at houses. If one makes you happy, you can just buy.
All right.
But of course, building is far more cheaper than buying.
For sure.
Because you can be able to control maybe your fundis and all
the materials you're buying. You know what is being used there.
And you have a guarantee. Something you have built yourself, you have a guarantee. From something that is you just find it is ready. Yeah.
And also we have Kenyans that also engage companies for them. You know, they save and invest so that they can be able to have a company build a particular real estate for them, and they pay in return. Is that also an option? Are we seeing that ourselves going that direction?
Of course, nowadays is an option.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people buying homes and houses.
Yes.
They don't even stay there.
Exactly.
Because they know if I buy, for example, a house in Westlands, I can be able to do Airbnb there. So I'll be making more money As long as I'll be working somewhere and I'm able to maybe like do the mortgages, the mortgage can even come from the same house that you have bought. So nowadays we have so many ways of investing in real estate.
Yes.
Which is making more money and more return.
There are so many gray areas in real estate, as I mentioned earlier on.
Yes.
And Dr. I'm looking at these particular types of investments that exist in this area. Do you feel like Kenyans know about the different types of investments and the return on investment that exist together with the types that are there within this industry? Is this knowledge there? Do we have awareness in this particular sector?
No, I say very few people know. Because of course you find a lot of people, of course you think I may not be able to afford to buy land. Yet you have not researched on the same, because nowadays we have companies like my own company, which are giving people even 1 year of repayment in terms of whatever you buy.
All right.
So most of the people, we fear from afar. We don't want to engage these companies. We don't want to talk to these people. We just think that we cannot be able to buy. But I can say, if you just decide you are able to buy, you can, because when you're given, even some companies I've seen, they given people 2 years to pay. So that means if you organize yourself wisely, you can be able to manage.
I love that. Just organize yourself wisely, you can manage it.
Yes.
It is not for a particular class of people.
Sure.
You are the CEO of the Trinity Group of Companies. As we bring this to a close, within a minute, tell me something about this particular company that you are the CEO of. Of course, I know that it covers many of them, all right? Something small about it as we bring this conversation to a close for somebody who wants to get in touch with you.
Trinity Group has a number of companies. One being we offer land surveying services by a company called Trinity Surveyors Limited. We also do real estate by a company called Finca Properties Limited. And we also do a bit of manufacturing. So when we talk about now the Trinity, our main areas is real estate. That is where we are. So we offer solutions for those people who want to invest, even those people who are not investing with us. They're investing in other companies. We help them do due diligence before they invest. We help them locate those properties. We do land searches, we do transfers, and we also do land sales.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That is Dr. George Paul Chege. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
It was an eye-opener, this conversation, and I love that we are talking about it, that the knowledge is coming out there.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, and of course it is on that note that we bring this conversation to a close. It has been a pleasure being with you. We're talking about investments and savings in the real estate sector. I hope you've learned something. I sure have. Well, my name is Ram Aguko. It has been a pleasure being with you, but stick around for more of our broadcasts and coverage in during this particular day. Remember, we have many events coming up your way, including one from the Kenya School of Government, where we have the opening of the Kenya Social Protection Conference 2023 that is taking place at the Lower Kabete area, where we expect the president to grace this particular occasion, including also Connected Summit 2023 in Diani. Stick around for more on our programming right on KBC Channel 1. May God bless you. May God bless the work of your hands. Have a good day. This is Good Morning Kenya.